Don-O-Mite!
So Dynamite.
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey, everybody! Have a great time!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite! What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday night, November 4th, a day after November 3rd, Election Day. I am Don Tony, and I welcome you to this election-free broadcast. Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite is back once again, and I'm going to let everybody know right off the bat, we ain't talking politics. We're not talking about the election. We're not going to talk about anything that happened in the last 24 hours. Anybody that follows me on a regular basis knows that I was very much under the weather last week. I got my water here. I got an extra bottle here. I'm still a little bit under the weather. I think I'm just run down a little bit, but I got very little sleep yesterday. Plus the fact that I was going to do a political recap on Patreon yesterday. It got 86th because Mish just moved back to Chicago and doesn't have everything set up yet. And then everything going on today and having to have the same conversation with customers, with family, with people that I care about. So we are going to talk about wrestling for the entire night. We're going to talk AEW Dynamite, which I got to be honest with you is a lead-in to Full Gear. 1-2 matches tonight I thought were really hyped up. You know, that awkward confrontation, or whatever you want to call it, between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page in the ring was a little bit, I don't know. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. NXT, the first NXT after Halloween Havoc. Yet last week, hey, Halloween Havoc beat AEW in the ratings. Every one of you and I predicted that they were going to win, but I absolutely undercut both. Wrestling last week, I mean, there were quarter hours, if you remember Friday's show, that hit like 1.6, 1.7 million viewers. And I have already explained twice why these goofs who think that anybody with a Nielsen box could possibly be counted twice. Did you see those goofs online, you know, talking about Nielsen boxes and the ratings, like, oh, what if you have both shows on at the same time? Do you get counted twice? No, it's one Nielsen box per household. So if you watch one on the computer, one on the TV, one through your phone, no, the Nielsen box is only registered to one. And plus you have to have a certain type of connection. You know, you can't really, I don't think you really could use a digital cable because it's being streamed through a digital source. It doesn't monitor the same way. So, but, you know, the point I'm bringing up is if you add up the ratings for AEW and NXT on some of those quarter hours last week, that beat Raw. Handedly beat Raw. In fact, I think this past Monday's Raw, the third hour, was the lowest quarter in the history of WWE Raw. And that's going, what, 27 years? That says a lot. And the election wasn't Monday either. There was no debates. There was no terrorist attacks. The World Series wasn't on. I don't think the Super Bowl was. NBA, I don't think there was any controversy Monday. It's just people have decided to watch other things than your programming. Simple, to the point, easy, you know, that's it. So anyway, I'm trying to get myself a little bit energized here. It's been a very, very draining 24 hours, but we will have fun. We will talk Dynamite. We will talk NXT. And I was going to say before, you know, the first NXT after Halloween Havoc, I don't know, for some reason, it didn't feel like a big carryover from Halloween Havoc. You know, I mean, maybe the Candice LeRae running over the tank thing, but, you know, it just felt like another episode of NXT. Solid episode. I might add, but it felt like a regular episode of NXT. I will do the Full Gear predictions tonight, and there's two reasons behind it. Number one, a lot of you asked me to do it tonight because Saturday is Full Gear. I do the Don Tony show at 10:05 p.m. on Friday night, and that only leaves less than 24 hours for people to check out the predictions before AEW's pay-per-view. So by me doing it tonight, it gives everybody 2, 3, 4 days, to enjoy the show, get the predictions, and then watch the pay-per-view. So I'm going to do it tonight. Now, obviously, since I'm doing predictions, we're going to tighten up the recaps on both shows. Couple of news tidbits to mix in with it, but for the most part tonight, this episode, NXT recap, Dynamite recap, Full Gear predictions. Now, don't forget, tonight, we give away $100. Remember the contest 2 weeks ago, $100. And, maybe we'll do that again, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't get any prizes put together for the next contest. I have some really, really cool stuff in my collection that I have to go through. And plus, since the prize wall that I always had on Patreon is going to be going away as of January 1st, there's a lot of prizes on that prize wall that I think some of you over here may actually enjoy. Now, for any of my Patreon family tuning in right now and saying like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. No, I already discussed it twice before. There's still going to be predictions contest there, and the prize is still going to be great. But basically, we're going to simplify the prizes. The value will be the same, but I notice a pattern of what people really enjoy. And let's be honest. I know NXT is 50 and over is their number one demographic, but when it comes to our Patreon and predictions contest, almost everybody that picks a prize wants something from today or someone dead, a collectible from someone dead, or they want cash. Simple. So we'll be doing that as well. So I think for the next contest 2 weeks from today, I think we'll do the $100 spot again. And then I promise you 2 weeks from today, I will have an awesome prize to give away. And I've gotten a lot of your ideas. Absolutely love it. And by the way, I'll offer a couple of bucks right now. There's someone out there. I don't remember who the gentleman was. I don't know if it was Mortalica. I don't remember who it was on Monday. But someone had said, hey, DT, let me do the timestamps for your shows. Hire me for the timestamps. Now, look, I know there's a lot of you out there that want to help me, at free, no charge whatsoever. The problem is, and I'm saying this with the utmost respect, there's been a lot of people who have offered me help, just to help grow the show. And the thing is that when things are not free, then people seem to do it whenever they feel like it, and this and that. And, I want, this to build and progress and get bigger, faster, sooner. And so unfortunately, a lot of people who have offered help have never come through. Then you got some people who did offer help, and they really tried to take advantage financially. And I get it, because, everybody hustles, to a certain extent. So the deal is, if anybody out there is really, really good with this Streamlabs, because the one thing that a lot of you have been emailing me with feedback for more is I should incorporate Streamlabs, especially when there's super chats and stuff like that. I mean, when a super chat comes in, like who did Zachary? Shout out to Zachary. Of course, I put it on the bottom, and I'll keep doing that. That's not going to go away. And a little thank you pops up behind me on the alerts. But with the with that. What was I just saying? That Streamlabs, like you get graphics on the screen. There's like money coming down, and this and that, and there's GIF files or whatever. So if anybody out there is really good with Streamlabs and wants to help me set up, that page for the alerts, I will definitely reimburse you accordingly. In fact, somebody really wants to help set up everything for that, which I know is not hard. It's just I don't have enough time in the day right now. But I'll throw out $100 spot to someone. Email me, dontony@dontony.com if you're really serious. And obviously you have to know what Streamlabs is. Don't learn on the fly, because then I could do that. So, GIF. I know, I'm always saying GIF like the peanut butter. GIF files. So, anyway, I want to thank everybody for the feedback from the conversation I had Monday about Kylie Rae. Got to take that shit seriously. Her happiness and her well-being is the most important thing right now for her. And anybody that has the privilege of being a friend of hers privately, even if she says, no, I'm good, force a little bit of extra love and appreciation her way. I think some of it will hopefully get through. But she is obviously no longer involved in wrestling for the time being, and we continue, nothing but support for her, and all the best, Now, let's talk about tonight's shows and a couple of news tidbits. First and foremost, I want to just throw this out there for anybody that is interested. All right, AEW, well, for those with the smaller computers or looking through the cell phones, I see, because I have a giant screen I'm looking at. Like, I could put something in a corner, and people are like, oh, what is he showing me? I don't know. It just looks like I see two Latino or black guys. What is he showing me? AEW has 2 new signings. As you could see on the screen, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, the Acclaimed, just signed them to AEW contracts. And, both guys are rather new in the business still. I mean, Max has been in the business since 2015. I think Bowens may be since maybe a little bit sooner. I will tell you, Max Caster, as far as Northeast, my neck of the woods, very, 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 very prominent in CZW for a while. In fact, I remember a match that he had a couple of years ago against Chris Statlander, believe it or not. Anthony Bowens, I think Anthony Bowens is also a model, but they're not bad in the ring. So, I know a lot of people like to crack jokes about Miro and other former WWE guys signing with AEW. But if you look at the core nucleus, and tonight we got a little tease, something that you and I have been talking about for a year plus, as far as the future of AEW. And sooner or later, they were going to clash, and they clashed tonight. That is Sammy Guevara and MJF. But, keep these guys, on the radar a little bit. I mean, they're going to take a little bit to fit in, but you think about this team now and Private Party. Yes, the Young Bucks are a little bit older, but they have a core nucleus of guys that it's turning into like a phenomenon. And you got to remember something. This is something I need to stress more that I think a lot of people really forget. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page were, pun intended, an elite tag team, and those guys could make fucking a pair of brooms in the corner look like superstars. So you split that team up, that's some issues there. So you have FTR and others. So adding this tag team will be a very nice fit for AEW in time. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there that don't know anything about them, but get familiar with them. I mean, they've wrestled on Dark at least 1 or 2 times. I think Max Caster worked Impact 1 or 2 times in the past. But yeah, just a pair of names that, a lot of people out there aren't even going to mention or talk about because they'll probably get no no conversation those people's ways. But, and something else I want to get into in a moment. But first, Philip Maffey. He missed the first hour of NXT, but he saw the second hour and it was pretty good. Yeah, Phil, he needed a break from politics and news. This guy as well need a break completely. No politics will be talked about tonight. Now, on Friday night, I think I'll probably reveal who I voted for because I actually did. I didn't vote for everybody on the ticket, and one of the persons I voted for was actually a Democrat. So Friday will feel the room. If the room is like, no politics, please, no politics, then I won't even bring it up. I know Mish, myself, and for one time, Kev Castle will be joining us too, and we're going to do a little political discussion on Patreon. And the only reason why we're doing it there is because they requested it. But, that'll be up there. But we'll see what happens on Friday. But, yeah, I agree also. Stay away from politics completely. And do I know how to trim and post clips on Twitter? Well, I'll tell you this much, Jeremy. There is a program. There's some free online services. You got to do a Google search and look around, but they do have some services where you could take a video clip and upload it, and it'll make it compatible with Twitter. The thing is with Twitter is I think the videos have to be less than 2 minutes. I even think it might be less than a minute and 50 seconds. I use various programs. The ones I use are more advanced and I actually paid for, but there is one called, I think, VidPod or something. If you tweet me tonight on Twitter, if you have a Twitter, tweet me tonight and I'll tweet you back the link. And it's a free program. And when I announce the winners of the contest here, I use that program. I actually get the screenshot, I trim it down, I could splice music, you could put in little effects, text. It's wonderful. And, you could save the file in the format for Twitter. So you don't have to, it eliminates a step. So, yeah, no, I'll definitely put it up later. I think it's called VidPad or VideoPad. I'm pretty sure it's one of those two. But definitely tweet me tonight, and I'll tweet you back the link. So, yeah, so with that, it's funny. I don't know if anybody really thought about it this way, but, a couple of days ago, for the NWA fans out there, and if you've been following my conversation all throughout 2020, I have said repeatedly that of all the promotions out there, NWA has been hit the hardest because of COVID. Yes, a lot of promotions could not do shows, period. But you have seen a lot of shows have gone back to work. I don't want to drag politics in here, but when you start dissecting stuff about COVID and you realize the cure rate and this and that, and plus, if you're responsible, and you avoid situations where you could be, elevated risk of being exposed, you can work and not catch the virus. I've been doing my insurance. Never stopped. I mean, I work half in the office, half out of the office, but I have customers coming in every day, and I spray the room, I wash my hands, I wear a mask, I put sanitizer on, I don't get in anybody's face, and I understand wrestling, you're constantly contacting this and that, but, you stay out of trouble, and especially if I have a decent wrestling contract, and I know I'm going to be working, for 1 or 2 weeks straight, or doing like a month's worth of TV for the next 2 weeks. And I know I'm getting a nice payday out there, and that's my career. That's my job. And, I can end up being a major star in the future. I don't go fucking hang out in the bar a week before. I don't go to a party and this and that. I don't want to name any names, but there's a couple of people in WWE. One is a particular female. And if you pay very close attention, she posted a photo the other day of her on the beach, and another female friend was with her that's not involved in wrestling. And, you go on the Instagram and look at all the photos since June. There's like 90 photos on there in a bar, in a restaurant, in the beach, in a bar, in a restaurant, on the beach, nobody's wearing a fucking mask. Not even once. And it's not like they're just keeping it in their hand and posing with the mask in hand. There's video clips of them just talking and hanging out. Just people just don't take the shit seriously. That's the bottom line. And you see MLW, Ring of Honor, other promotions who have gone back to work, and the wrestlers care enough that they almost sequester themselves and stay away from risks. It can be done, but some people just don't. That's why, when you hear about, the country, like, oh, there's 100,000 new cases, 50,000 new cases, nobody fucking said a thing when you had hundreds of thousands of people protesting. And yes, I agree with the protesting. What some of the tragedies this year is absolutely awful, disgusting, and changes need to be made. But, you know, when you don't instill in people's brains since day one that you're going to kill someone else, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to get sick, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you become literally like a wimp, put your tail between your legs and don't, you know, say anything to protesters because you don't want the culture going after you. You know, you put in everybody's brains like, hey, if they can fucking protest and I don't have to wear a mask, then why can't I go to Walmart? And me, I wear the mask simply because I don't want to get sick and I don't want to get my family sick. Easy said and done. But NWA has suffered the most out of COVID. And you see star after star after star after star after star leaving, not renewing their contracts, being let out of their contracts, going to other places. And, you know, maybe she's not, you know, a top star in a lot of people's eyes, but Allysin Kay is no longer a part of NWA. And I thought this was kind of funny. It's not AEW's fault. And I really appreciate Billy Corgan. Billy Corgan, before COVID, to me, was one of the hardest working, you know, promoters in wrestling. You know, hardest. I mean, just working his ass off, trying to rebuild NWA. That is so hard. With AEW, it's a brand new promotion, a brand new venture. There's so much unknown. You know, the newness factor lasts for a while. You know, so they get a little bit of different treatment. But with NWA, it's got a lineage, and there's been attempts to revive it over the years, and it's pretty much fallen flat every time. So trust me, I say this with nothing but love and respect. Billy Corgan is awesome for the work that he's done for NWA. But it gets to a point where you got to try to balance out the bleeding and the future. And you just see names, I mean, just gone. And and I thought this was hilarious. To me, and I've said this before, you see NWA doing some stuff with the, United Wrestling Network or whatever it is. You're starting to see that NWA is starting to realize that they're in a really, 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 really bad position right now. Nick Aldis, you know, working his ass off as well, but that's not enough. When you have so many different options out there, NWA's really got to stand out. You know, and you start doing this old school stuff again, you better have the right people to fill those voids. And look, even Wade Barrett, Stu Bennett, now he's in NXT. You know, everybody loves his commentary in NXT and never followed his work in NWA. Most of us here did. But to me, this is almost like the perfect example of how, in my opinion, fucked up NWA is right now. Allysin Kay goes on Twitter yesterday. I didn't realize it was yesterday. Just now, remember what I said last week about Dynamite? That you had Hikaru Shida cut the promo, and yes, it was pre-recorded, but you have Hikaru Shida cut the promo in the back right after Serena Deeb cuts a promo saying this is the only belt that matters, pretty much. And the timing was so horrible on TV, it just made the AEW women's title look cheap. Nothing against Hikaru Shida, but it did. So now, Allysin Kay goes on Twitter yesterday, and she writes, and it's fun. It's amazing that it was only yesterday. That's how draining the last 24 hours has been. She writes yesterday, as of today, I am officially a free agent. Thank you to the NWA for the opportunities, which included one of the favorite matches of my career. I am open for indie bookings and appearances. Let's get weird. I know a little of it's cut off. I trimmed it down for another reason in a minute. So Allysin Kay is no longer part of NWA. She's done. She announced that she thinks, okay, she's now a free agent. Tell me this doesn't feel like last week with Serena Deeb cutting the promo on AEW TV about the NWA title, and then Shida right after that doesn't address it or nothing because it was a pre-recorded clip, and AEW just did a piss poor job of timing on the show. Immediately after this, 6, 7, 8 hours later, Tony Khan announces this. Allysin Kay getting a shot at the NWA Women's Championship at Full Gear. Now, I'm all for Serena Deeb against Allysin Kay. They will have a phenomenal match. let me just get this straight. Allysin Kay just reveals to everyone, I'm no longer part of NWA. And Billy Corgan signs off on her getting a title shot. I mean, just think about the logic there. If I'm Tony Khan, you know, hey, no disrespect, Billy. I'm not trying to start anything up. Nobody gives a shit what I say anyway, but if I was Tony Khan right now, I'd be laughing my ass off. Look at this idiot. She just leaves the promotion. She didn't re-sign with them. And now we're advertising her for a title match, for a promotion that she just left a day before. Tell me how it's not stupid. I mean, how dumb does that look? Thank you, NWA. I no longer work for you. Oh, the next day I'm getting a title shot for the promotion I no longer work for. Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Colt Cabana. Why go through a tournament? Quit your job. You'll be able to fight for the title for the promotion you just left. Allysin Kay, no, Michael. Allysin Kay did nothing wrong here. Her contract was up with NWA. They didn't renew the deal. They obviously have come to a pass because if you're trying to work out a new deal, you don't write what Allysin Kay wrote. Everybody wants to run the Twitter for every fucking little fart going on in their private lives. She would have kept it silent and still work out a deal. But if you know that she just posted this, not for nothing, you tell everybody you're no longer part of my company, fine. Now I okay that you could fight for the title? Now, sure, the chances of Allysin Kay winning is slim to none. But to me, that's Bush League. And I know a lot of fans out there would not have correlated the two. They would have just said, hey, man, Serena Deeb and Allysin Kay is going to be a phenomenal match, and I agree as well. But when you look at that back-to-back 8 hours apart, that just shows you what position Billy Corgan is in right now. Billy Corgan is so in need. Not desperate. That's kind of a harsh word, but he's so in need to keep the NWA name out there in some type of positive light that he takes someone who is, pretty much is an employee for AEW and Serena Deeb and allows the belt to be put on her. Not for nothing. Billy Corgan's got to be careful because Billy Corgan's going to quickly turn into like the goofy version of Dennis Carluzzo. And Dennis Carluzzo, to me, back in the day, was a goof. The very end when Shane Douglas threw that title down and his fucking Chrome Dome was on TV and he legitimately didn't know what the hell was going on, that guy looked like a goof. Seriously. I wanted to take one of those rubber darts. You ever see, like, Fisher Price sells them, and like you shoot the rubber darts and it just sticks to the head. That's what I would have done to Dennis Carluzzo. So so that's the deal. But hey, we get an extra match on the pay-per-view. Now this will be the buy-in because obviously they took Orange Cassidy versus John Silver and they put it on the main card. They put it on the main card because Orange Cassidy, and I'll be honest with you. Little by little, John Silver is actually getting a little following on social media. A lot of you out there may not notice that, but he is starting to get a little bit of a following. So I have no problems with them moving it to pay-per-view. Now, I know some of you are going to once again say, hey, wait a minute. Let's look at this lineup. All right, there's 4 of the matches for Saturday. And here's another 4 matches for Saturday. And not for nothing. All right, let's look at them again. Right? I mean, there's only one women's match on the card, and people are continuing to say, how come we don't get more women's matches tonight? I personally, in my opinion, I would have kept Serena Deeb and Allysin Kay on the main show and kept Orange Cassidy and John Silver in a buy-in, But hey, it's their company and they have a right to do whatever they want. And I'll tell you right now, John Silver's getting a lot of love in the chats. That's very cool. That's very, very cool. Speaking of chats, Jeremy Westbrook, many of the wrestlers let go by Vince or let go to AEW are in the same position they were during WWE. I wouldn't necessarily say that. Again, you look at the Boo Birds tonight when Miro had his match. Great match with Trent Beretta. To me, it might have went a little bit too long. And I don't know, did you notice something with the ref tonight? right before the end of that match? Did anybody catch it? I almost want to give away a free shirt if anybody caught something a little subtle that the referee did right before the end of that match. Did anybody catch it? And chat, and I'm not saying chat isn't someone by the name of chat, but entire chat room. You know, I'm asking you now, and you can't answer it later because people will probably start Googling it, trying to see what I'm talking about. Did anybody notice it? To me, it could have been nothing. I don't think so. I'll give you a little hint. It's not Raven. Anybody know? No. 808. You're close, 808. All right, nobody knows. Nobody knows. I'll throw it out there now, since we're talking about recaps. No. See, you can guess. There's nothing wrong with that. No, he didn't wipe his nose. He might have wiped his nose anyway. But what he did was, if you go back and watch the match, you know, Miro and Trent having a great match. And as you already know, and we've talked about it before, referee, one of their jobs, which is very important, is they relay information to each wrestler. You know, obviously there's times where one wrestler's on one side of the ring and one wrestler's on the other side of the ring. If you go back and you look at vintage Earl Hebner, he was wonderful at it. Earl Hebner would go up to someone, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And then he would go to the other wrestler and look like he's saying the same, but what he's actually doing is he's relaying to the other wrestler what the first wrestler wanted to do. So the first wrestler will tell Earl Hebner or another referee a particular move they want to do or spot next, and then the referee would go and relay it. So tonight, during their match, you know, you had Trent, you know, almost getting a pin on Miro in the ring. And Miro kicks out, and Trent goes in the corner. And if you look, and this could have just been nothing, but I don't think so. If you look in the corner, the referee is trying to relay something to Trent. And he takes his foot, and he actually see, I'm wearing shorts, so I really can't, and I'm tall, so I have to climb up on a ladder to show you. But he takes his foot. You remember when Raven used to use the loaded boot, and Raven would prep the boot by tapping like the back of like his toes or his heel? You go back and you watch, the referee goes to Trent and he taps his foot like 3 times against the floor, and immediately after, Trent goes to climb the rope and he slips with his foot, and then Miro puts him in the move. So, you know, you might want to go check that out. But Jeremy, getting back to your question, the Boo Birds, all right, when Miro had his match tonight, you know, once again, they can't resist. You know, you have them defending some people for their job position, Lana or others, you know, even how they used. But then, you know, we should not be the ones judging where someone decides they want to earn their money and this, that. And then AEW comes, and the bipolar's out there, you know, making fun of Miro, you know, going to AEW and becoming, you know, like a gaming goof. They can't resist. Because when you're Shangada in the head like that, you don't realize what you're doing. Miro is fucking happy. He's happy. He's gaming. He's playing with friends. He's doing things in the ring. He probably has a nice nest egg. Plus, if you know anything about Miro, when he first came to America, I don't have his resume in front of me, but the guy drove a cab for 2 years. The guy painted houses. I mean, does anybody think when you paint a house, you ink a 6-figure deal? You know, you must pay me to paint the house. Exclusive, independent contract. When you drive a cab, you know, because you have aspirations of being a famous wrestler. Oh, no, one day I'm going to be a big famous wrestler. You must pay me $300 for $10 cab. This guy is humble. This guy has worked regular jobs and made chump change, made gots. So him working in WWE, you know, and saving a little bit of a nest egg, and now taking a little bit of a mental and a physical break, you know, gaming, doing what makes you smile and laugh, especially during a goddamn pandemic, you know, and people make fun of that. I mean, it's just, like I said, you know, not to be an asshole, but like I wrote 4 months ago, he's working and you're not, you know, so I just don't understand that. But people who have left WWE, yes, some people have a bitter axe to grind. Some people will do interviews and really, really shit talk WWE. And then if they get the opportunity down the line, they'll go back. You know that? They'll go back. But there's some wrestlers that are very, very happy. You know, it's as we said before, money doesn't buy happiness. And the guy seems to be having a ball right now, enjoying the things that make him happy. So it's funny. And I understand, and I'm guilty of it in the past. Absolutely am I guilty in the past. I've been guilty of it for 20 years. You know, but you start, as you get older, you start learning and you see things a little bit differently. But it's very easy for any of us to say, oh my God, why would this person leave, on their own choice and work for the indie fed or making almost nothing or working for Impact or, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's different, and it's really not our place to pull it. Yeah, Eddie, I say I'm always guilty of doing it in the past because I've been doing this since 97. And I'm not gonna lie and act like I've never done it. I have said 10 times worse of what people say now. But one thing I'll tell you, back then you didn't have me going the double talk out of my mouth route. Like I'll say, one side and then, the week later say the opposite side. So, no, Eddie, I'm still a goof at times. Absolutely, I'm still a goof. I think I kind of like the shirt, though. I love New York. I don't love it like I used to, but I'm a Snake Plissken fan, so that's why I got it. So anyway, that's my answer to you. And and just to also point out the fact that he came out in a tank in 2015 at WrestleMania. That was one of the better entrances for WrestleMania in recent years. But if you understand where the guy came from, sometimes you could take there's always a saying you could take the ghetto out of a person, but you can't take the person. You could take the person out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of the person. And you could substitute ghetto with a lot of other words. But the thing is that Miro comes off as a guy that, of course you want the big time paydays and the big bucks and everything like that. But if you're miserable and, especially the company you're working for, you feel like, when he talked about the brass ring, this is why I kind of, don't blame him for being pissed off. When you look back at Rusev Day, and I've brought it up before, I own merchandise. A lot of you own merchandise. Everybody was chanting Rusev Day. Now imagine a guy that really thinks in his head he could be a big-time champion in WWE, getting some high-profile storylines. And then, you look around the arena, and the arena is going nuts for you, and they're all wearing your shirts. And then you go back to your employer and say, oh my God, look at this. Look at this. How great is this? And then your employer say, oh man, they're fucking mocking you. I mean, tell me you wouldn't want to deck your boss, with all due respect. So I don't blame him. I don't blame him. And, obviously much worse has been done to people. But as I have said repeatedly about Lana, and I know Mish agrees with me wholeheartedly, everybody thinks that Lana is miserable right now. She's been put through 7 tables and she's paying the price for Miro. How do you know? Maybe she's having the time of her life right now. Maybe she's enjoying it. If you've never been put through a table, then don't think like, she's got like bruised ribs and an injured neck every time you go through a table spot. Some people out there, and I know there's some people watching right now that are from mostly the indie wrestling world, and they will be first to come out and say, man, put me through a fucking table for free. I got put through a table with about 500 thumbtacks on it, and I almost had a hard on. I'm telling you, I have the video of it too. When Louis put me through the table, and and what pissed me off is that I can't remember his name. Anybody remember Doug's last name that worked for Ring of Honor? He passed away since then. Somebody may remember. I think his name was Doug something. He did commentary for Frank Goodman on that day. Doug Gentry. Thank you, franchise. Doug Gentry. I'll never forget that guy. Really, really nice guy. Seriously, really nice guy. He did commentary on that event. And when I watched it back, you know, like I thanked him. And I was like, man, I really appreciate it. He made me feel so important, even though I was his nobody goof. And, you know, it just made me feel good. But, you know, the point is that, you know, when I went through it, you know, I thought it was no big deal or whatever. It didn't, the thumbtacks hurt. And you've seen me post pictures on here with the thumbtacks. I mean, I've showed you before. But when I got put through, like, I just laid there and I'm saying to myself, man, this is fucking awesome. I love it. And especially when you hear people reacting to it. It doesn't matter if you're this place on the card or all the way down here on the card. Trust me, if this is the bottom of the card, I was much lower than that. I was garbage. But I still had fun. And the bottom line is that, you know, getting paid is nice. But if you're really not having fun, you know, sometimes it's not worth it. You know, and there's also that phrase, when you're having fun, sometimes it doesn't feel like a job. Let's be honest. All these shows now, kind of like another job when you figure out how many hours, not only in front of the camera, behind the camera, that I do. But I notice as the time goes by, especially here now with all of you on video, you know, I'm having so much fun. And it doesn't feel like work sometimes. Sometimes it feels like a holiday. Like, I'm in the other room and I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to come in here. So, but, you know, you say that at 1 o'clock in the morning and you realize you got to get up at 6. You're like, fuck. So, you know, Miro looks like he's having a great time, man. And so do a lot of other people. And, you know, you see Thunder Rosa, she did that interview the other day and she said that, you know, wherever she goes, she wants to be able to do her outside projects. A lot of people, that's why when she dropped the NWA title, I see all these goofs talking about WWE and AEW, not even realizing, yeah, they follow Thunder Rosa close. Yeah, they follow everything about it. They don't know nothing about her Fed. They don't know a damn thing. I mean, do you just follow her, you know, with the gel rags or something like that? But she's got a lot of projects on the outside, and she doesn't want to give those up. And unfortunately, WWE is not going to make exceptions, because then you run into the whole controversy with the Page stuff and, you know, Twitch and all this other. So, you know, so anyway, AJ Blair is asking for Full Gear, Hangman Page or Kenny Omega. I'm going Kenny Omega. I said this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and as each week has gone by, even though he hasn't done much on TV over the last 3 weeks, I'm more feeling it now than I even did a month ago. And a month ago, I said 2021 will be the year of Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega is going to compete not only for the AEW heavyweight title, but for #1, to regain that #1 spot on PWI. And I know PWI is not what it used to be, but, you know, you see the beard growing back. I mean, we could almost feel that, you know, maybe he doesn't dress up like he did in Japan on Saturday. Maybe he does. But you could see little by little, you know, a variation of the cleaner is coming back. And hardcore Kenny Omega fans love it. Casual Kenny Omega fans are excited, you know. And for fans that don't know anything about it, you know, they're going to see a different side of Kenny Omega that they've only heard about on Meltzer 5 stars and 6 stars and 7 stars. And I'm not mocking Meltzer. I subscribe to his newsletter. But I think Kenny Omega 2021 is his year. I really do. So we'll see what happens. But I will definitely get into predictions. And yeah, I can understand, Ken and a few others, why you want to see Page go over, especially when he cut that promo tonight with JR. And he talked about, you know, how he thought he was going to be the first AEW heavyweight champion. Personally, I think that the drinking stuff is getting a little bit goofy. It's getting cartoony, if you know what I mean. I don't mind cartoony. The MJF Jericho thing is as cartoony as you could get. Like I said, I just wish they would have done the dream sequence. If that would have been the dream sequence, I think almost everybody who absolutely hated it would have turned around and said, all right, well, since it was a dream sequence and technically in storyline it never really happened, it was in somebody's head, I think they would have actually said that was pretty damn cool. But I think, oh, thank you very much. Slipper House, thank you. Thank you. I'm not afraid to speak my opinions, even if they're not very popular to people, you know. But I personally think that Hangman Page, I don't mind him having a little bit of an alcohol problem. I don't have a problem with him having an insecurity problem, because part of the storyline is insecurity. I don't know if you realize that. He's almost like an abused dog, like a dog that keeps getting kicked. You know, maybe not kicked physically, but kicked emotionally. When you saw that Hangman Page was the first person to come to the rescue of the Young Bucks tonight and not Kenny Omega, you look at this storyline for the last month and a half, which has been rather messy. I think, let's be honest. From that night when Kenny Omega walked 85 miles with the Young Bucks on pay-per-view to the limousine, are you with me or are you not? Now all of a sudden Hangman Page comes out and he's got the drink in his hand. You know, and when they weren't paying much attention to him, to me, Hangman Page, I know this is a bad analogy, but it's the only way I could display it. Hangman Page reminds me of someone who owns a dog or just gets a dog, and for the last month, 6 weeks, ice cold outside, leaving it out in the rain, leaving it in the snow, putting almost no water outside. Hey, you thirsty? Lick the fucking snow off the ground. You know, treating the dog or neglecting the dog, not paying attention to it. But yet, after a month, you walk through that door, and even though you have neglected that dog for the last month and treated it like shit, you open up that door, tag wailing, happy, happy, happy. That's what it looked like tonight. Somebody who's been neglected. That's part of the storyline too. But, you know, the drink thing is getting a little bit too cartoony, you know. And it's funny when you have JR telling Hangman Page moderation, and meanwhile, and I definitely need to close the bottle for this because last week, Monday I had a little disaster with the keyboard. You know, JR is telling Hangman Page moderation, if you know what I'm talking about. But seeing him like go everywhere with the glass. I play Among Us now. I'm sure some of you play it as well, and I'm starting to get good at it. And I bought $2.99. I got one of the pets, and it doesn't matter wherever I go. Like, that freaking pet is always next to me. You know, and sometimes like halfway through the game, I'm like, go chase a cat or something. Get the fuck away. I can't, like, it's always there. And it's almost like Hangman Page has like a cocktail glass, a shot glass on his side instead. JR's a little bit of a drinker, but, you know, it's just funny to hear him say that to Page, and I'm thinking of all the Austin, you know, things back in the day. Oh, yeah! Like, now I sound like Otis. It wasn't meant to be. So, anyway, so that's that as far as Omega and Page. Let's talk about Dynamite. And should we give away the $100 now? You know what? Let's give away the $100 now. Let's get it out of the way. Right before we went live, I took the thread from 2 weeks ago. This time around, I said, don't worry about the hashtag NXT. And do you freaking know, I kid you not, you might remember about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago when I did the contest, I went into my picture thread and I was telling everyone, no, I have the hashtag, you know, WND, I have the hashtag, no, everybody, because I wanted to make sure everybody, and meanwhile, I swear on my mother, I swear on my family, I don't know what happened to me 2 weeks ago or even a month ago and I couldn't find it either. I went the other day to pull a picture for something, and right in front of my fucking screen is this. And I'm like, how did I freaking miss this? So I decided 2 weeks ago, you did not have to write that with your comment. You know, just leave it for everyone. You know, just post something good. And so earlier tonight, right before we went live, I took the thread from 2 weeks ago and, you know, I screenshotted it. So it's 100% authentic. And to be honest with you, I don't even know who this person is that won. But I randomly selected someone, and I'd like to show you who won the $100 for this contest. So without further ado, here is the results. Chris Hogan, brother, congratulations. You win the $100. Email me, dontony@dontony.com, or you could post a comment in the thread for this week, and I will definitely get in touch with you. And you could get it in the form of money order. You could get it in the form of PayPal, because that's preference, obviously. Or you get an Amazon e-gift card. So you get Amazon e-gift card, PayPal, or a money order. So congrats, brother. So we'll do that again. Do that again. And I'm announcing it early now. So I know we're probably going to get a lot more entries this time around, because I know I usually do it late in the episode, because I'm saying to myself, is like, you know what? Whoever is still watching after 2 hours definitely deserves that prize. So all you got to do, post a comment on this thread, and talk about whatever you want. Dynamite, Full Gear, anything I said tonight. Just don't spam. That's all I say, and don't troll. But I always admire a little good trolling. But I'd like to see someone who really post some good comments get it. But I don't have any control over it. So, brother, congratulations, brother. He gets the $100. No, you'll get a real 100, by the way. We're not going to go politics tonight. I'll show you on Friday. Something that I did yesterday as a joke, and I know I pissed off a lot of people. You have no idea. Oh, man, I wish I could show you right now. You'd get it's the ultimate trolling. But you know what? I see how some people get triggered over politics. I kind of feel bad doing it, but Friday at the beginning of the show, I'll show you what I did. It involves money, by the way. So not real money, but money. So let's talk about AEW tonight. Summarize. You don't have to get every little fart. Interesting match placement tonight for AEW. There's a lot of rumors Sting might be showing up in AEW. I don't know what he can do. I don't know what kind of role he would have. I don't even know if it's true. Obviously, they have Darby Allin sitting in the rafters with face paint. And a lot of people are starting to make comparisons of Sting, the Crow gimmick in WCW. I don't know if people are just reminiscing on Sting's Crow gimmick, and based on the reminiscing, they're fantasizing like, man, how great would it be with Sting? And recently, WWE took down all of Sting's merchandise on WWE Shop. You take down merchandise, that means you're not making money on that merchandise anymore. And taking down the merchandise might be a little hint that Sting might have some plans to do something that is going to probably annoy WWE. But it's all about business. It's all about business. AJ Blair, contract or no contract? There's legend deals. There's deals that they can ink and have merchandise still. There's some people who are really not under contract yet. You'll see some merchandise pop up from time to time. People that are still alive, I might add. Mr. Mike, I'll comment on Pat McAfee in a few moments. But I will do this for you right now. I did grab the selfie that they took tonight. So I'm always prepared. I always try to be prepared. I may not get the viewers of people who have been on YouTube for 5, 10, 15 years. I got a lot of catching up to do. I try to be prepared as much as possible. VJ, I saw the fan with the AJ tattoo. I didn't say it publicly because, weird creeps like that, those are the ones that even if it is a news item, that'll get you attention, some of those people you don't want to give that attention to. And I tell you, I laugh at the goofs that go online and say, everyone, don't give this guy attention. He's sick. There's something wrong with him. Mingy, you just posted about him on Twitter. You know, you're doing that so people could respond to you. Oh my God, that's so weird and this and that. Meanwhile, you sit back and like, oh, I feel important now. I got 95 likes. Oh, I feel so cool. If somebody is that creepy and weird and you don't want attention to them, you don't bring it up. And I never brought up, I'm saying it now because you asked me. I try to oblige wherever I can. For those that don't know, some fan, if you saw AJ's tattoos, and I'll admit, when he first got them, and when I saw him the first time, I thought they looked kind of ugly. Did not realize it was about his kids. I thought it was some like religious quote or something. Then I found out, no, like, oh, all right, that's cool. I would actually do that for my parents or my kids as well. But some fan went to a tattoo parlor, showed him the picture of AJ Styles' side, the side of his abdomen or his stomach and the tattoos, and had it done. Exactly. Since you're talking about creeps, did you all see the guy who tattooed Randy Orton's wife on his leg? I have no problem with anybody out there paying tribute to someone that they admired or they idolized in their childhood or really just had an effect on them. I see sometimes people with Hogan tattoos, Undertaker, Mick Foley. Some people will do an AEW tattoo. I have no problem with any of that. You have something. And that's why when we were talking about Kylie Rae on Monday, you know, the littlest of good things, even through social media, you know, could really affect someone in a positive way. And the littlest of trolling could really, really sometimes put someone over the edge. Not, you know, always, you know, that over the edge, but, you know, that's why people are just very, very careless and irresponsible. But you have a particular wrestler or promotion or character that just really got you through some bad times. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know anybody that's had a Don Tony tattoo yet. Jesus Christ! Come on, look at the picture of the intro for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Do I still have it here? I mean, look at that. You can't get that. I wouldn't get that either, to be honest with you. No, but seriously, I have no problem. You want to pay tribute to someone when you put personal family where they weren't characters, somebody's wife, the birth dates of kids that aren't yours. That's weird. So anyway, interesting. No. Don't get the tattoo. Let me lose a little bit more weight first. No, I'm only kidding. Don't get that. Weird placement of matches tonight for AEW. I understand Cody versus Darby Allin is one of the matches a lot of people are looking forward to. And I will say once again this week what I said last week. And I said it with Mish as well. I think this pay-per-view for AEW is my favorite card so far. Now, yes, some of the matches may end up being really, really shungada. But on paper, I go down this card, there are so many matches on this card. I'm like, all right, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I honestly don't recall an AEW card where 7 matches, maybe John Silver versus Orange Cassidy, I'm not really connected with, but the other 7, every match, even Nyla Rose versus Sheeta, because there's going to be a little twist. You know, I'm like, yeah, you know, I could get into all of this. But my point is yes, Moxley and Eddie Kingston, the storyline today was that Tony Khan made it that neither one could put their hands on him. All right, fine. No issues whatsoever. Maybe you don't close out Dynamite with those two guys because they can't brawl. So it would have been kind of cheesy. Now, if you ask me, I would have had everybody else attack Mox and just have Eddie Kingston promo in his face. I mean, if you really want to split hairs here, Tony Khan said that neither Kingston or Mox could touch each other. Didn't say anything about anyone else. So I personally would have gone off the air with that segment because I know this is going to piss some people off. I don't really care. As much as I enjoy the Roman Reigns, Jey Uso storyline, I'll be honest with you. Maybe because I have been spoiled to enjoy 15 plus years of Eddie Kingston here in the Northeast. I have been had the privilege to enjoy a little bit more Moxley when he was in CZW than maybe others, or they just knew him as Dean Ambrose. But I'll be honest with you, as much as I enjoy Roman Reigns and Jey Uso storyline, and both are knocking it out the fucking park. If you said to me right now, poll, which feud do you like more? Just as far as verbiage, Moxley and Kingston or Roman Reigns and Uso, I would go with Moxley and Kingston. Because here's the difference. Eddie Kingston comes off as such an asshole sometimes that, you know, you wonder if, I'm just saying, some people always wonder if there's a little legit friction between Moxley and Eddie Kingston or whatever else. You see them, you know, throwing darts at each other too. As much as they do the storyline with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, you know Roman Reigns is a really, really, really good guy. They just showed a video of him surprising someone who had, you know, the same illness that he had. Roman Reigns is a good guy. And you pretty much know that after, you know, the pay-per-view is over, the Usos, him, the Wild Samoans, they probably all ate, drank, and were. So as far as the storyline and the connection and things just really fitting into place, I like Moxley and Kingston more. Besides, you know, when they're getting really personal today, and Eddie Kingston is saying he made a promise to his mother and this and that, and Moxley made a promise to his mother or grandmother he was going to watch over Eddie Kingston. He was so happy that he got signed, which is true. Then you got Roman Reigns. If you want to dissect it, all they hate is, you won't call me tribal chief. You know, it's very cartoony. You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking it because Roman Reigns is knocking it out of the park. But for me, out of the two, I like Moxley and Kingston more. And as I said 2 weeks ago, for people out there that still can't get behind Eddie Kingston being in the main event for the AEW pay-per-view, you have no idea what you're in store for. That's all I'm going to say. This is going to be a flat-out brawl. They're not going to stink up the joint. So we will see what happens. But getting back to match placement, I would have had Mox and Eddie Kingston go off the air because the verbiage was so powerful. You could have done that. And again, you could add the other people attacking Mox and Eddie Kingston lying over him one more time. You could have even had the opening match tonight close out the night. You could have had MJF and Wardlow versus Guevara and Ortiz be the main event of the night, and then when they have the pull-apart or whatever, MJF dives over the announcer's table, brawls with Jericho. Jericho's got this weird grimace on his face that he is enjoying, like what he's getting from MJF, that viciousness, and they could go off the air with that. I would have been fine with that as well. But instead, and I love Billy Gunn, and I still never forget when he and the Road Dogg did the New Age Outlaws for the Chris Candido, the second annual memorial show for the promotion I worked for, and got to talk to that guy quite a bit behind the scenes. And that guy not only is one of the nicest, coolest guys, or has turned into, but, you know, he's an excellent trainer, and he's still in phenomenal shape. But out of everything leading into a pay-per-view, you have the Gun Club versus 10, 2, 1/3, 9, and Colt Cabana. I know Cody was in the match, but it's like, Jesus, who thought of that match placement? I personally thought that was very questionable, to say it politely. The match was fine, but I'm not going to lie, I was glued to Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream more. I'm looking at this, and I know Billy Gunn's son one day is going to be much higher on the food chain, but I'm like, you're going into the pay-per-view with probably the most loaded card that you have had to date, especially under COVID, and you close out with fucking John Silver 6 and 8 and the Gun Club. I don't know what I'm missing there. So you had MJF and Wardlow open up the night, beating Sammy Guevara and Ortiz. Match was fun. Sammy Guevara doing some corkscrew suicida, which looked freaking insane. And the match was phenomenal. My favorite moment of the match is what I've been saying for a year, and I know a lot of you as well. We had Guevara and MJF stare down in the ring. And as I told you last week, when we were pondering who was going to be looked at as the baby faces in the match, did you hear? Sammy, Sammy, Sammy. Remember my Randy Orton Evolution comparison. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen this soon, but it's going to happen. But they had a really fun stare down. They went at it a little bit. The crowd is behind Sammy. And it was funny because, you know, they did a little bit of interaction in the ring. And MJF, now I don't know if they ever called it this, but I call it this. You know, you remember when Roddy Piper used to always poke someone in the eyes? I used to love that. Ronda Rousey, I think, might have done it once as well. I call it the Piper poke. So MJF, they're doing a little bit of back and forth, and MJF just poked his eyes. Loved it. And you know MJF is a big-time fan of Roddy Piper. That was a tribute to Piper. But, you know, during the match, you had one point, which was very impressive. You had Sammy Guevara and Ortiz trying to put MJF on the top rope, and they were going to perform a superplex. And then Wardlow comes over, and he puts one around one side, one around the other, and he knocks them off at the same time. And yes, Sam, everybody loves Piper. It's amazing. I remember as a kid, and I've told you all before, my grandmother, God rest her soul, I don't have the picture around, but my grandmother, to the day she died in 1991, she was convinced wrestling was real. Hulk Hogan was her favorite of all time. That's obviously before the controversy. And Roddy Piper was her most hated. And the first ever wrestling figure, which I brought up on this show a couple of weeks ago, was the Roddy Piper with the white, you know, the white T-shirt, you know, where he's like this. First figure I ever got. And I can't tell you how many times my grandmother would come over my house, and she'd be sitting at the dinner table having coffee with my mom, and there'd be like cake on the table or whatever, and you know, I would just like walk by the other way and just nonchalantly like put it like right behind her, or I'll put it the figure next to her, and she'll always do a double take. She always did a double take. She'd just be like talking. Meanwhile, the figure's right here, and she'll be like talking and you know, like, and she'll be like, "Get that fucking shit away," and she'd fling it across the room. She hated Roddy Piper, hated him. That man was so hated in the mid-'80s. Then, you know, he became beloved. That's why I was so happy when he turned heel with Sean O'Haire. You know, that was kind of hard because he was so beloved, you know, for so many years after that. The Sean O'Haire stuff. And Zach Gowen, you got to give credit to him. Roddy Piper pulled the leg off of Zach Gowen, and he's just like looking at it. And Sean O'Haire's like, fuck that, man. That's too much. Almost like Pat McAfee tonight with when the segment when Pete Dunne beat the shit out of Killian Dane. He slams the car door into him, and you know, like Pat McAfee's like, you know, hey, we're gonna have to talk about this later, but he didn't have too much of a problem. We'll talk about that later. But I personally would have gone with this off the air tonight. That whole segment, I mean, how the match ended was Sammy Guevara did a flip outside the ring. And basically, Wardlow's outside the ring. Guevara's outside the ring. And Guevara sees the AEW fans, you know, the wrestler fans around ringside, and Serpentico is there. So Serpentico, you know, is basically high five. He wants to give Sammy Guevara a high five. So Sammy is about to do it, and he does this, gives him the finger. Next thing you know, Serpentico throws a chair in Guevara's face, knocks him out, takes the mask off. And, yeah, Chris, little aggressive. We'll talk about it later. A little aggressive. But Serpentico takes the mask off to reveal that it's Matt Hardy. And Guevara's knocked out. Matt Hardy goes away. And the next thing you know, MJF hits the salt of the earth on Ortiz for the win. You know, when the show opened up tonight, they had Dasha Fuentes interviewing Jericho, Santana, who's not wrestling right now, and Jake Hager. Jake Hager's still showing the effects of Bellator 250. And it's funny because Jericho forgot who Jake Hager's opponent was. And, you know, he's like, who was it? Jake Hager's like, it doesn't matter. And, you know, they're cutting their promo, and MJF shows up, teasing about, you know, joining the inner circle. And MJF, you know, Jericho wants to see some fire under this guy. So the match didn't really show a lot of, like, very cruel and evil and, you know, which honestly Jericho wouldn't have wanted either, because you got Ortiz and Guevara being the recipients of MJF's, you know, offense. But after the match was over, MJF, you know, they're doing a little pull-apart thing. MJF starts going to the back, and he dives over the announcer's table onto Jericho. They're beating each other a little bit. And Jericho, you know, after the pull-apart, has a little smirk on his face, like, all right, yeah, I'm enjoying, good fire, you know. So it was what it was, but I would have had that go off the air, if anything. You know, if you weren't going to do Mox and Kingston. So doing that main event, and I know we went backwards, we already covered the main event, but, and I'll get to Cody's promo in a moment, but so MJF drives on Jericho, and Jericho seems to like it. We get sit-down interviews tonight. First, Tony Schiavone with Kenny Omega, and later JR with Hangman Page, which we already discussed. And it was funny because when Tony Schiavone was talking to Kenny Omega, they start the clip and he's got a dog on the in front, like on the coffee table or ottoman or whatever. And Tony Schiavone is like petting the dog. He's like, "Oh, nice dog." And I think Kenny Omega says something like, "It's not even my dog." Like, and basically Kenny Omega being a little bit of a prick, talking about how he relocated temporarily to Jacksonville so, you know, he could focus on the tournament final. And he's destined to win the tournament and later on become AEW champion. The sofa. But the funny thing is that if you remember the Patreon show not too long ago, and I brought up my brother's evil dog, and I totally got the breed wrong, and I'm telling everybody in the chat room, like, come on, post a picture of it. And they're posting pictures of the breed that I'm describing, not realizing that I was describing the wrong breed. And they're like, no, it's a bulldog. I'm like, sorry. So, but that was, I don't know whose pictures those were. It sounded like Kenny Omega's just renting a house or whatever, and he's like, that's not his pictures, that's not his dog, you know. It was what it was. But look, it did its job to make Kenny Omega a little bit of like a conceited prig. A pug. See, I'm getting it wrong again. A pug. I said, I said bulldog. And they kept posting pictures of bulldogs. I'm like, no, that's not it. It's a gray dog. It's like every freaking girl that's on social media that, you know, is doing the duck lips or the selfies. Half of them have this same dog. It's a gray dog. It's a gray dog. And they're posting bulldogs. I'm like, no, that's not it. It doesn't look like that. I said the face is a little scrunched, and then somebody put the picture of the pug, and I'm like, that's it. And somebody's like, DT, that's not a bulldog. Yes, I have my moments as well. And I even said on the show, brain fart. It was so bad. But next we got Miro defeating Trent. Very good match. I didn't realize that this was Miro's first singles match in AEW. I completely forgot that every match that he had so far, albeit so few, was with Kip Sabian. This match went longer than I think it needed, but it was a great match. Trent did excellent in this match. Miro showing, and he's a little bit lighter on his feet as well. But thank you, Sam. But in the end, like I said, if you go back and you watch it, Trent got some very close 2 counts, almost 3. And the last sequence, go back and watch what I'm talking about. You'll see the referee tap his foot 3. Remember, it looked like what Raven used to do, because Raven used to take the tip of his foot and go tap, tap, tap. And then you have Joey Styles. He's loading the boot. The referee, it looked like that was his signal to Trent, okay, do the foot, do the leg thing. But it still looked good. Trent climbs to the top rope, a little next to the turnbuckle, not in the corner, and slips. Miro gets the advantage, hits him with the game over, match is over. After the match is over, you have Chuck Taylor and Kip Sabian, who were brawling early in the night. It was one point, they started brawling to the back, and you had Orange Cassidy, having a stare down with Penelope Ford. And Jericho calls her trash, and JR is immediately cuts Jericho off, because what happens on social media sometimes if you call a woman a trash or white trash. But, Jericho covered, look, you see what she's doing? She wasn't doing anything. But, yeah, I agree, AJ. I don't like Miro with Kip Sabian at all. I just don't like it. But you know what? It is what it is. Kip Sabian, obviously, I have said it many times in the past, very talented, but doesn't have that connection with fans yet. There's only so many times him making out with Penelope Ford, on the main product to get under people's skin. That only gets you so far. And, this kind of distracts from that a little bit. So it's all right. It's okay. But, Chuck Taylor and Kip Sabian come back out, and Miro lays both of them out, and then Orange Cassidy does a dive onto both Kip Sabian and Miro, make the save. We go to a commercial. JR having that sit down with Hangman Page, and he said he was nervous. And again, they're focusing on the alcohol, and I'll repeat what I've said in the past. Something that I didn't think of saying in the past, but I say it now. The alcohol being a problem for Hangman Page, I'm fine with a storyline. But now it's turning cartoony. It's getting a little bit too cartoony. I mean, even alcoholics are not going to have their shot glass or their cognac glass literally crazy glued to their hand. It's not. It's a gimmick, but it shouldn't be a gimmick. Hey, I got to go take a shit. I'll be right back. And meanwhile, the glass is empty. And if you looked at that glass, not for nothing, that glass did not look very sanitary. It looked like there was 99 fingerprints on that glass. You imagine if that was involved in a murder? Can you imagine the episode of Forensic Files? We came back. There was 35 different profiles. That glass looked very unsanitary. I don't care if Hangman Page was my favorite wrestler and we were in COVID. If he even had just a drop of water and he was around ringside and he gave me the glass, go ahead, drink it, I'd fucking throw that glass across the room. You fucking stupid. Why don't I just lick the sweat off of your forehead instead? But, I mean, yes, he always carries a dirty glove, but tonight it was exceptionally dirty. You look at it, there's so many fingerprints, it looks smoked. When you buy those smoked glasses, it was, somebody should come out with Amazon. This should be clear, smoked, fingerprint smoked. That's how cloudy it was, man. So cloudy. So, another thing that I am absolutely fed up with. Fed fucking up with. Please stop with this Taz stuff. Taz cuts great promos. Mox, they were doing the stuff with Mox. Then it was Hobbs. And then it was Allen. And I still think they missed the boat calling Taz, should have been calling him Darby Dumbass. That should have been on TV from day one. They never did it. But tonight, again, Taz coming out. I'm still waiting for answers. I'm still waiting for your response. I'm still waiting for this. That's almost like the Emelina and the Hacker storyline. It's going to go 29 weeks. I'm still waiting for your response. Remember the analogy I used last week? You talk to someone on social media or, hey, can I text you tomorrow? Yeah, text me tomorrow. And I text you, you don't respond. All right, a day later, I text you again, you don't respond. After 2-3 days, you don't respond. Now I got to get to desperation. I'm like, but she didn't respond 2 times. I don't care if it's a he or she, it, they, whatever. But then after 2 days, how many of you have done this? I know I have done it in the past. I'll admit it. You send an email or a text message. Hey, I don't know if you tried to call me before, but my battery on my phone was dead. And I would have never, let myself go. I would have never forgave myself if you tried to call me and you would have thought that I was just ignoring you. So please, I'm sorry, my phone was off. Oh, yeah. No, I'm at work right now. I'll call you when I get home, and then they'll call. After 3 times of being brushed off like that, now I say, maybe that person's not interested in me. But this stuff with Taz, we're still waiting for an answer. We're still waiting. Now I think Hobbs should join that group. Maybe you make make Cage and Hobbs a tag team or something. I don't know. When Cody says that it's not the land of the giants or they're like light heavyweights, remember that promo by his car that time? I thought that was a big diss to Lance Archer. The fuck they doing with Lance Archer? What are they doing with Lance Archer? I mean, do you get COVID again? Like, how the fuck do you have this promotion and you don't know what to do with Lance Archer? I mean, and you know what's funny about it? If you remember the tournament when he first came in and he hit the Cody wall, which we understand now is the right way to go, being the first, representative of the TNT title. I get it. But after that, there was nothing going on. And you might remember, not just me, but a lot of podcasters, a lot of you out there were saying, what the hell's going on with Lance Archer? I mean, they built this guy as a maniac. He hits the Cody wall in the tournament, and now they're doing nothing with him. Then they started doing those backstage segments where he's throwing people up in the air, through the roof, in the garbage cans, and this and that, and Jake's cutting these promos, and then you feel like, oh, okay, all right, now they're doing something with Lance Archer. And then 3 fucking weeks later, it's the same goddamn shit, which is nothing. It reminds me of someone who you get to know, and then you realize they're an absolute asshole jerk, just a real jerk off. And then you confront the person, and the person, no, I'm sorry, no, that's just not me. It's just there's been a lot of things going on, this and that. And for 2 or 3 weeks, you feel like things are getting better, and then 3 weeks later, the same jerk off comes back. AEW, I mean, if you're not going to use this fucking guy, let him go somewhere else. Seriously. Because you see this card Saturday is stacked. But when you realize that you can't figure out where to put Brian Cage, you can't figure out where to put Lance Archer, and those are just 2 guys. There are other people as well. The Butcher and the Blade have to sell ice cream 3 weeks out of every month. This is a little sloppy. It's a little sloppy. Yes, it's still a new promotion, but, I mean, can I just say it without coming off as a real jerk? Who the fuck cares that the Gun Club is part of the Natural Nightmares? I mean, with all due respect, it's like things like that. Like, does anybody yet give a shit that Colt Cabana is in the Dark Order? I like Colt Cabana. He's uber talented. He's he's like, what do they say to in baseball? Where you could play multiple positions. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank right now. He's a something player. Someone's going to bail me out on it. Someone who could play like all different positions. there's like an 8-second delay, everybody. So, utility player. Thank you. Benjamin saves my ass. Colt Cabana is a utility player, and that is a compliment. But what is this storyline about him being in the Dark Order? For what? For what? I don't get it. What about Brody Lee? What happened? Is there a lockdown in Schenectady? And the funny thing is, are you seeing where I'm going with this? Maybe I'm onto something. Brody Lee, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, Will Hobbs. Huh. The week before, Cody says that this promotion is the light heavyweights. I mean, what is it? Once you get to a certain weight group, I know in WWE, when especially females, once they get to a certain age, they're like, yeah, enhancement talent, or not used at all. Why is it that these bigger guys in AEW keep getting like thrown to the side? I mean, if the size difference is so much off like that, then don't put these fucking people in your company. Seriously. I mean, no, I can't do an Affleck tonight, Anthony. It's too late. It's too late. You know what I will do? Anthony, I will do this for you. I promise you I will do this. Let me get my throat a little bit better in a day or two. And what I'll do is when I come home for lunch, like 11, 12, 1 o'clock every day, depends on how busy I am. Since it'll be early in the day and the people upstairs won't be here, I'll come here, I'll hit record, I'll do the Affleck duck, because a lot of people don't know. I mean, that Affleck duck, when he screams at the top of his lungs, I do it perfectly. It's like the funniest thing, and I've never done it on video before. All I know is that whenever I do it, I always have to look up because I have to have this expanded. But I'll do the impersonation, and I'll play it on the show. I'll do that for you. I will definitely do that for you. I can't do it at midnight because they will fucking flip. Sometimes when I get a little bit too loud, sometimes I hear like things poking upstairs. So, but Ricky Starks is still very young and upcoming in AEW, so they could take their time with Ricky Starks. I'm not complaining with that at all. But you're starting to see a pattern of the large guys. I mean, if you even want to put the Butcher in there, I mean, tell me, I mean, it just seems like they bring in these huge guys and they don't know what the fuck to do with them on a regular basis. You know, like you get a little spurt and then you get nothing. So just something that I was thinking about. So did I see the Pure tournament yet, Ring of Honor? I didn't watch it yet. I know Jonathan Gresham won, and I heard that the finals was excellent. I'm probably going to watch it this weekend. So I definitely want to talk about it. Absolutely. In fact, Mish had mentioned it also, so might wait till Monday, and I'll talk about it with Mish on Monday's show. But I definitely paid attention to that. So, so Taz, you know, promises that there's going to be a Team Taz presence at, you know, Full Gear. You know, I don't know. You know what? Maybe Darby turns heel. Maybe Darby turns heel and he joins Team Taz. I just think these segments are really starting to run its course with Darby Allin. I'm not saying that he's going to join, but something's got to change and change fast, because Darby Allin, it just feels like without those segments, you know, sit in the rafters all you want. You know what I mean? Here's an idea, Darby. You're in the rafters. Why don't you just dive from the rafters in the ring? Don't do the Shawn Michaels where he goes down the thing, oh, the Heartbreak Kid, WrestleMania. Or don't come down with the thing like with Sting. You know, you're such a stuntman ballsy guy. Just fucking, you're in the rafters. You're in section 411 tonight. Half face paint, sitting down. You like this? Open up your eyes. Dive. Borrow Kalisto's thing. You know, dive. Impress me, motherfucker. You know, no cables. Just dive. You know? I know I'm exaggerating. I like Darby Allin. But that guy's going to seriously injure himself one day, and AEW feels like they have no leash on this guy whatsoever. I mean, I don't know how any promotion that has such a bright upcoming star, allows in a contract that you could jump off a bridge. It's all right. But it's Steve-O. All right. You could go down the thing in a body bag with nothing else and, down cement. It's all right. But I want to get laid this weekend with this chick. I'm getting divorced. All right. Okay. But Darby Dumbass got such a bright future, and you're just waiting for the Jeff Hardy, like moped incident. Remember when Jeff Hardy did that thing? What about was it Evan Bourne? No, it wasn't Evan Bourne. It was who was it? That was in WWE that got let go, and he broke both his legs doing like stunt stuff and everything. I'm like, yeah, go break both the arms next time. What was it? He broke his leg, and then he did it again. It wasn't Evan Bourne. It was the other guy. Oh my God, drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank. See, when you become irrelevant, I couldn't even remember Jackson Riker's name. Justin Gabriel. Thank you. Remember him? He does it once. He breaks his leg. I'll do it again, and he breaks both his legs. Unbelievable. So, next, Private Party versus the Young Bucks. Wasn't an advertised match. If anybody had noticed tonight, they advertised Scorpio Sky versus Shawn Spears. The match did not happen. The reason why it did not happen is because Scorpio Sky he found out that he was in contact with someone over the last 2 weeks that had COVID. Even though he tested negative, AEW wanted to keep him off of the show. So that's why the match did not happen tonight. As far as I know, he does not have COVID, Scorpio Sky. But that's the reason why the match didn't happen. Very, very surprised. PJ Black. Yes, that's his name now. Thank you, Ray. Very surprised they did not advertise Private Party versus the Young Bucks in advance. I don't know if they were supposed to have a match. Maybe it was put last minute because of this other match. You would think they would have advertised that match because the last one they had in that tournament was fire. They did a fucking awesome job. That match, I think AEW probably wishes they would have advertised for a week. So I think this might have been to replace Shawn Spears versus Scorpio a little bit. But match was quick, nowhere near on the level of what they've done in the past. You had the Young Bucks, they did the Meltzer driver, hit the BETE trigger, say that fast 10 times. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to friends of mine, and I mix it up with the black cable channel. Oh, like, yeah, did you see the match? He hit him with the BET driver. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, the BET driver. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, that's the Black Entertainment Channel. It's the BTE driver or the BLT driver. The BET, I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times I've said the BET driver, but it's the BTE driver, and Matt Jackson pinned Quinn, and the storyline is still focusing on Matt Jackson's ankle. After the match was over, the FTR come out. See how they're pushing those no flips, just fists? They're pushing that little phrase now. Take note of that. But and we always known that, but that's more of like a WWE phrase. But anyway, BET's still on the air. Sure, my fiance watches BET all the time, but it's not a bad channel. I mean, it's it's obviously targeted for the black community, but doesn't mean they don't have good programming. So, but anyway, FTR comes out, attack them. You had Tully Blanchard put a chair under Matt Jackson's ankle and holding down a little bit. FTR is beating him down. And then we have Hangman Page make the save with the drink in hand, the fingerprinted drink. And Ben, I don't think it is trademarked by WWE. That's why they're using it. It's basically, WWE didn't trademark it, so now we're going to use it. That's what it feels. And by the way, I want to thank everybody who let me know that Pro Wrestling Tees, the AEW store, is selling the FTR jacket. I would buy it, but there's only one problem. I would want my name stitched. I know I'm not a member of FTR, But, you know, like I have still, believe it or not, I have in my closet. I'll show you next week. Or maybe on Friday I'll bring it out. My father opened up, I mean, I always tell stories about working for my father's store as a kid. My father opened up his grocery store in 1982. I was just a kid. And just show you how fat I was at the time. I mean, I was just a preteen. But, you know, I could fit in the jacket now. But when you realize I was a preteen wearing this, then you're like, oh. But I found not too long ago when I was looking in storage to wear something for the shows here, I know what it was. It was the Van Halen shirt. I found my Van Halen shirt from 1984. And I found the jacket that my father had made up for everybody when he first opened in 1982. And the jacket looks exactly the same as the FTR jacket. The only difference is it has my father's store logo in the back, beautifully embroidered, and it's got my name on the side. If you look how it's stitched, it looks exactly like the FTR, even the font, exact. So I would get the FTR jacket if they could stitch my name. So I don't think that's going to happen. So anyway, Hangman Page makes the save. Kenny Omega makes the save. And then a weird segment, man, a weird segment. You know, Kenny Omega, when he first enters the ring, if you focus on him, he's acting like he doesn't even realize Hangman Page is in the ring as well. Then they finally, you know, spot each other. They're having a little bit of convo in the ring, center of the ring. And Kenny Omega offers a fist bump to Hangman Page. He accepts. They do a little fist bump. Then Kenny Omega's like looking at FTR and the Young Bucks and everything, and then Hangman Page like pulls him back in the middle of the ring, and they're having some words, and he's got the fingerprinted, you know, glass in his hand, and he's like looking, and yeah, obviously you can't tell what they're actually saying, but then it goes to a commercial. I'm like, man, that was like really, really like awkwardly done. Like Hangman Page pulls him back in the middle of the ring, and they're having this like weird conversation, and he's nodding. Now you would expect maybe crazy eyes, or maybe you see him like shaking his glass a little, like he wants to do something to Omega, or maybe he's about to, and you know, but nothing. They just like walk away. Oh man, go back and watch that. Yeah, I could have it stitched to the tailor, but it's not the same. If I'm going to pay that kind of money on a jacket, you should offer stitching, even if you charge $10. Now we have the segment I said earlier that I really enjoyed tremendously. Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And by the way, we've done an hour and 35, so we need to speed this up. I really need to end this early tonight. You had any idea how much sleep I've had since Monday, you'd be like, are you freaking nuts doing the show tonight? Maybe 3-4 hours if I'm lucky. So they have their verbal confrontation, bringing up family, and Moxley said that he's going to make Eddie Kingston quit on Saturday. And I'm no reason for me to repeat everything that was said because we talked about it before. But well done, very emotional. And I'll continue saying I enjoy this feud more than I enjoy Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. As far as the little bit more reality side of it, just imagine if Moxley, he doesn't have to say tribal. Imagine if Moxley, or even Eddie Kingston, you must call me PWI number one. You must call me the. It's like it's a little cartoony, but that's what WWE's product is, and that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has a different type of style. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I don't even want to smash the glass in Page's face. I just want to throw it on the other side of the building. Because if he's that addicted to alcohol and that glass, like it's Linus's blanket, it's like the game Among Us, like I said before. Everywhere I walk, the fucking dog is next to me. So I want to be like Among Us, throw the glass on the other side of the arena and just watch Hangman Page run after it, He'll start crying like Shotzi Blackheart with the tank today. So, a segment that to me just wasted time. Dustin Rhodes starting to cut a promo with the Natural Nightmares. Bunny walks in, thanks QT Marshall for the gifts. whatever, blah, blah, blah. Butcher and the Blade come out, attack them with weapons, and oh, goody, we get those two teams facing off next week. Goody. Goody, goody, goody. I have to say it like that. Nyla Rose winning a squash match against Red Velvet, and Hikaru Shida was at ringside, taunted Shida by using the running knee strike for the win. Vicky Guerrero cutting a funny promo because Brandy Rhodes was in the corner of Red Velvet and talking about Brandy being the CBSO, the chief bullshit officer of AEW, which I thought was funny. Shida and Nyla Rose having a little pull apart to set up for this weekend's match. Then we find out next week we're getting the rematch, Rey Fenix versus Pentagon, which I love, but is this leading to a storyline? The Butcher and the Blade versus the Natural Nightmares, oh, cool. Darby Allin video, and he had a guy with a Cody mask and runs over someone, another dumbass. And then the main event, as we already discussed, Cody cutting a passionate promo, bringing up where he left, where he is now, and this and that. And he's saying that, Darby's going to lose on Sunday, and Darby's in the rafters, closing his eyes, taking it in. And again, I'm really looking forward to this match. But you know that there's going to be some type of a swerve. Maybe Darby joins up with Team Taz. I don't know. I personally think Darby Allin and Ricky Starks would be a pretty interesting tag team. That would be pretty interesting tag team. I don't know if it would go that route, but it was just a weird decision of a main event, in my opinion. And again, nothing against the Gun Club, but you're going into a big pay-per-view with a loaded card, and the last match is the Gun Club and Cody versus John Silver, 15 and 11. Didn't feel it. So, anyway, NXT, this show is going to be so much easier to describe simply because we didn't have that many matches. What we did have were long and good. Opening match, Dakota Kai with Raquel Gonzalez in her corner, beating Ember Moon. You got to understand, these are 2-hour shows, not 3. NXT I'm talking about. That match went on almost up until 30 minutes into NXT. It's the same. Yes, Ember Moon lost. Yes, there you go. Ember Moon, ride that fucking bike 300 miles an hour next time. In fact, ride so fast that when they show the video, all you see is just a flash of light. She still lost. But the finish was pretty good. Basically, early in the match, they were selling that Ember Moon had an injured shoulder. She's trying to sell it throughout the match. Match went on about 20 to 25 minutes. Remember the format, the formula. The NXT formula, I say it every week. Opening match, 25 minutes. Segment, 1 or 2 minute match, segment, 30-minute match, between commercial and everything else. Segment, one more bullshit match, main event. That's NXT's formula every single week. Every single week. And a lot of times it's clusterfuck finishes. How this match ended, Chris, I don't mind long matches in NXT. But mix up the formula once in a while. I mean, you look at NXT cards, put the themed ones aside. You put them side by side. Every weekly NXT, you'll see the same fucking format. Opening match, it's like, okay, first 30 minutes, we have to have this opening match. Then you get bullshit segment, quick squash, bullshit segment, another long match. Not as long. Then you have another segment or two. Then you'll have a long-ass promo. Then another bullshit match here and there. And then the main event goes uber long. It's funny. You'll have the same person. If they wrestle at the 9 o'clock hour, they win their match in 3 minutes. But if they wrestle at the 8 o'clock hour and a 9:45 hour, it's got to go 30 or 20 or 15. But Dakota Kai's finish tonight was pretty sweet, though. Ember Moon is on the top rope. She gets distracted by Raquel Gonzalez. And basically what Dakota Kai did was, while Ember Moon was sitting on the top rope, she hits the GTS, the go to sleep, and beats her. And, I just thought that was it really looked good on TV. But again, Benjamin says that Ember Moon reminds him of a Horizon Zero Dawn character. That's not bad. That's not a bad comparison. I mean, just to show you how good I am with lying, I have no fucking idea who you're talking about. No, I actually have heard. I haven't, but no, it's not like a bad comparison, for real. That's not. If anybody Google images that, you'll see what he's talking about. I get it, But Ember Moon is kind of, she's got like a little Rhea Ripley in her. She's like a little bit of everything. But the funny thing is like if you watch, now on a weekly basis NXT, like the whole setup doesn't reflect like who she is. Mama wants a little gold, baby. See where that went quickly. So Dakota Kai gets the win. The show's one quarter already over. Cameron Grimes losing to Kushida. Another decent match, much shorter, but a really goofy finish. What happened was Mackenzie Mitchell tries to interview Cameron Grimes in the back. He's throwing the haunted house aside, like, no big deal. But then he sees the referee, who was also involved in the haunted house match, and he runs away scared shit. All right, a little bit of a comedic, but at least it wasn't the match. So now we get the match between Kushida and Cameron Grimes, and it was a fun match. And what ends up happening is towards the end of the match, and Kushida's still dressed like Back to the Future, by the way. He hits the hoverboard lock, and Cameron Grimes tapped. Unfortunately, there was no ref to see the tap because they did a ref bump. Not once, but twice. So we have a couple of ref bumps. Another ref comes out, and the ref that comes out, Cameron Grimes, thinks it's a zombie. And he freaks out, and he starts flailing his arms around in the air, and Kushida hits him with the hoverboard lock. Cameron Grimes taps out immediately, leaves the ring. And, if you weren't watching the match, like Cameron Grimes almost had a look on his face like, holy shit, I just won. It was an upset. But he was just so freaked out by the referee that Kushida got the win. And he just wanted out of there. I don't know the ref's name. You go back and look like the zombie. I mean, honestly, when you don't know a ref's name, that's probably good. Unless they're a legend, they're probably doing their job, But that's what they did. A decent match with a really goofy finish. Another goofy finish. Everrise versus Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. Some people are saying that Dane and Maverick won by DQ because Lorcan and Birch and Pete Dunne hit the ring and attacked Maverick and Dane first. I thought it was just a no contest because, just interfered. But I could be wrong. But what ends up happening is Pat McAfee is in the ring with Lorcan, Birch, Pete Dunne. And again, I now like McAfee. I thank you all still for opening my eyes a little bit, going into that pay-per-view match between him and Adam Cole that time with an open mind. And he's excellent on the mic. But what he did this week to me was worse than last week. I mean, his promo was fine. But I now call them the podcast promo. Because go back, his promo is longer than matches. They need to tighten that son of a bitch up, because this week it went on and on and on and on and on about the the Undisputed Era and showing pictures and cutting promos. And I mean, we get it. He talks great and he's a heel, but this is like a podcast promo. He fucking talked for like 10 minutes. You don't even have your main event stars and the main product cutting promos that long. Randy Orton doesn't even cut a promo that long. You could take Randy Orton's promos for the last 4 Raws and put them on last week on Raw, 8 days ago at Hell in a Cell, last week on Raw, The Fiend, this, that. Add them all together and Pat McAfee still would be talking. So it went at least it wasn't a 20-minute Seth Rollins promo. I agree, Ben, but it's very good. But it went way too long. It's like he's cutting a podcast. And you have the forced booze and the pipe in and everything. I mean, the segment overall was good. Basically, they took out, the Undisputed Era, their logo looks like almost like a blanket, but their logo for the Undisputed Era. And they bring a pail in the ring. Pete Dunne has got lighter fluid, but he's got the Zippo lighter fluid. And I was a little concerned because if anybody out there has ever watched wrestling matches where they light a table on fire and you use the Zippo fluid, that stuff burns out quickly, very quick. And that's by design because you don't want to have what happened with Supreme and Chaos that time when they decided to use, I think, charcoal fluid, barbecue fluid or whatever. My God, what happened to Supreme? Oh, my God. That was insanely sick, But, and not intentional, obviously. But, they take, the Undisputed Era, they throw it in the pail and they light it on fire. And at one point, I thought that Pete Dunne maybe didn't put enough, lighter fluid and it looked like it went out. But a few moments later, you saw the flames pick up again and it was very good. Them throwing, burning the Undisputed Era stuff in the pail was fine. But then they walk to the back and the segment is still going on. They walk, and what happened was they showed up in a white, Escalade or SUV or whatever, and they leave the door open. Now, you would think in storyline that someone would have done something to the vehicle, but when they were done with their segment, they go back outside, the door is still open, the thing is still running. And they're about to get into the SUV, and Killian Dane comes out there, tries to attack all the guys. They end up getting beat down. You don't see Killian Dane on the other side, but Pete Dunne smashes the door into Killian Dane. And, Pat McAfee, is just startled. And, he's looking at Pete Dunne. He's like, hey, I like what you did. A little aggressive. But we'll talk about it later. And then they pull away. They tell the Undisputed Era they suck, and they're the best. And then we see a close-up on Killian Dane, and there's a pool of blood, like he got shot. Remember Joe Pesci in Goodfellas when he thought he was being made? Remember when he got, maybe not to that level, but my God, the amount of blood that they tried to put, that is a little goofy, But I did enjoy when they were in the ring, and they cut the little selfie, just showing how good they are. And that selfie is floating around the net. And I hope people have noticed. Pete Dunne has gotten himself jacked. Holy shit. My apologies, everybody. Talk about jacked. How do I forget? Pac. Jacked. Pac. Pac cuts a promo from overseas. He's on his couch, and I loved that segment with Pac. Basically, what he's saying is that he's been in isolation for the last 7 months, and it's not fun when you're in isolation because you have nobody to play with. He's better, stronger, faster, and he's on his way back. But I loved the computer work that they did because they superimposed a whole bunch of Pacs in the same room with him in his wrestling gear. And Pac is sitting on the couch, beautifully buttoned down shirt, tie, dress pants, very elegant. And you have all of these Pacs around him, and he cracks a little joke, and they're all laughing. And I paused it, and I'm like, whoever did that computer work just aced it, because it looked like all of them were in the same room. I mean, even when they were hanging over the couch, I mean, it was just, whoever did that, bravo. That I'm seriously, I'm not kidding. I seriously apologize for forgetting about that. Nobody reminded me, but I was like, holy shit, I knew there was something I was missing today. Pac, on his way back. That's a big name. But you also got to worry, because with that name coming back, it's going to be at somebody else's expense. Who is it going to be? Don't know. So anyway, getting back to NXT. We had a comedy skit, Johnny Gargano at home with the title. He now loves wheels, and he's playing board games. And it's not Candice LeRae next to him. It probably was her, but it was somebody wearing the Scream outfit, the costume like last week. But Gargano, of all the dopey house segments they've been doing, the last 2 or 3 they've actually nailed, because they're keeping it simple. Simple, quick, laughter, couple of, and out of there. Out of there. None of this special effects stuff. Remember when the time when Keith Lee was right before Keith Lee became champion, and they would do it? I thought I had vertigo. Seriously. They're keeping it simple, and I enjoyed it. Another segment, Santos Escobar and his group, they're outside cutting a promo. Jake Atlas attacks them and then speeds away in a car. Santos Escobar would kind of like a smile, like, okay, motherfucker, it's on. Quick, but again, you see the formula. You see what I'm talking about. See the Killian Dane, Drake Maverick Everrise? 1 minute. Then we have Timothy Thatcher. Does anybody know who that person was in the ring with him? I think they called him Akeem. I could be wrong, but I don't remember what his name was before. I do realize now that Anthony Green, I don't know if you're all aware of this, Anthony Green is now being called August Gray. August Gray. I mean, honestly, I don't even think, like if I married like a Bella, when they come up with these odd names, like if I happen to have married Brie Bella, like if I would have had a daughter with her, like let's name her August Gray. August Gray. It's like the season's changing. August Gray. I wouldn't even buy a fucking crayon called August Gray. That's, I don't know, man. But anyway, Timothy Thatcher with another of his segments. This time, he's doing the lessons on reversals, and he has Akeem, basically does the front guillotine choke at first, and then he does another move, gets a little bit out of hand, and then we have, I'm going to still call him Anthony Green right now, but Austin Days, I like that. Okay, I like that better. August Gray. I'm serious. It sounds like a crayon. Like, honey, could you hand me I'm drawing over here. Could you hand me, or the colored pencils? Honey, could you give me August Gray? Like, it's like a crayon. Seriously, the fucking crayon. August Gray. Yeah, it does sound like a porn star as well. But anyway, August Gray comes in, kind of makes the save, and I think next week we're going to get Anthony Green versus Timothy Thatcher. So we'll see what happens. Or you know what? You go to a spa, and you're like, what eyeshadow would you like? Would you like peach? But it's the fall, maybe like a pumpkin color. You know what? Give me August Gray. August Gray. Who the fuck came? Now, for all I know, we'll find out that, he had a teacher by the name of Mr. Gray who got cancer in August, and his last words were, become a WWE superstar, and as a tribute, I called myself August Gray. Xia Li gets another letter from Boa. Mr. Regal, I must have a match next week. Please, I must have a match against Raquel Gonzalez. She disrespected me. So, appears next week, we're going to get Raquel Gonzalez versus Xia Li. Where it goes from here, I have no idea. She gets a little TV time at least. Couldn't do that MMA fight, by the way. So now another promo. You see all the promos I'm talking about. Rhea Ripley talking about how 2020 pretty much sucks for her and so many people getting in her way. But she says that 2020 is going to end the same way 2019 ended, with her as the NXT Women's Champion. Now you realize that Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley appears to be the next big feud for the title. I'm fine with it. You knew it was going to happen. So let's see if Rhea Ripley could actually knock her off, But that appears to be where it's going next. So next week, we find out that Breezango is going to get a rematch for the tag titles against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Next week, Johnny Gargano is going to defend the NXT North American Championship. We don't know who as of yet. Io Shirai is awesome. Seriously, Io Shirai is excellent. And I'm happy that she's in the position that she's in. I tell you, man, I know everybody talks about the women's revolution, for the last few years especially, but let's also remember all of the women's champions from the Orient who are champions right now. Hikaru Shida, Su Yung, Io Shirai, Asuka. Think about it. We have 4 right now. So, and 4 very worthy champions, although I still think Su Young's reign will be very, very short. Less than a month or 2. Not even. And the only reason why you can even say 2 months is because Impact doesn't tape every week. So, but, yeah, she's doing excellent. So, main event tonight, you had Velveteen Dream versus Tommaso Ciampa. Very, very interested to see what kind of quarter rating this pops. And I'll tell you, obviously Velveteen Dream, still getting a lot of heat on social media because of what we've talked about before. But in a way, you got to look at it and say, if they do a decent rating, they got to thank AEW for having the fucking Gun Club 7 and 11 and whoever, and John Silver. I don't want to disrespect John Silver or Cody or any of them. I don't want to disrespect, but what a weird choice to close out with. What a weird choice. Can I speak Japan? Sometimes, Anthony. Anthony's with some unique questions. How's about this? You want me to do the Affleck duck and you want me to speak Japan? Maybe I'll do the Affleck duck in Japanese. What is Japanese for Affleck? I think it's still Affleck. So, yeah. But believe it or not, if I can read a little bit of Japanese, because when I was doing the history shows and doing all those recaps of the Japanese matches, I actually started to learn what some of the symbols were and everything. And I actually read a couple of names, and I thought I was all cool and everything until, with all due respect, I have nobody Japanese in my life. So who am I going to brag to? The only person I can brag to is the sushi shop. Don't give me the American label menu. Give me the Japanese menu. Chow, Thai, Thai, and who am I going to impress? I'd say to my fiance, honey, look, I could speak Japan. You know what she'll say to me? You have too much free time on your hands. I don't even speak Italian anymore. So, Velveteen Dream, Tommaso Ciampa, fun match, a lot of brawling. Kind of the template for Velveteen Dream matches over the last month or so. Coming out almost, not ready for the match, getting his ass kicked outside of the ring, getting offense. Very, very fun match. I enjoyed this match more than the Gun Club in 2 and 6 and Silver and Cody. But, it's still Velveteen Dream. Ever since that match with Adam Cole, they're having a hard time to get him back in the swing of things. Yes, we understand the reasons why, but they put on an excellent match today, and it was nice to have Ciampa close out NXT. Because if you've noticed, Ciampa, Velveteen Dream or a combination thereof seemed to open all the NXTs tonight. And I was like, please, could we get like somebody else to open up NXT tonight? And we got Ember Moon and Dakota Kai, and they ended up having a great match. I like Velveteen Dream, man. Like I said, I don't condone, any type of the behavior that he was accused. I don't condone that at all. But the thing is that, you take the time and do a little research and use a little common sense sometimes, you might come up with a conclusion that no one else is realizing. And sometimes you have to stand your ground. And if you truly believe something, stand behind it. You see all of these thin-skinned wimps on social media who cave. They'll throw an insult. The minute they get heat for it, just kidding around. Oh, you can't take a joke. And then you realize they weren't being comedic. They just are caving in. They can't handle it. There's so many people that don't stand behind their comments. I respect someone 10 times more. See, on Monday, I played the debate. Mish and I had the debate about WWE and Twitch and everything else. And a ton of people took Mish's side in the debate. Because WWE values Twitch as competition. I disagree with it because Twitch to me is a medium, not an actual entity. You understand what I mean? Like Twitch is a streaming outlet, but it depends on who's behind the camera. So that's why I take the opposite side. But, everybody that was like, DT, you're way off on this, I can totally respect and accept anybody who disagrees with me or criticizes me, if you back it up and you're not trolling. Some people out there can't handle that. And the Velveteen Dream stuff, I really truthfully felt from day one, things that from that night, it didn't add up. And, some people's actions, their immediate reaction tells it all. There's always a saying that someone's first reaction is usually their most authentic one. Later on, they try to twist it, cover it up, make excuses, blame others, this, and that. But the first reaction is usually always the most honest one because you don't know what kind of response you're going to get. So some people will make a reaction, then get crazy heat on it, then they change their tune or they start twisting it. I think the closest I might have come to that for myself was the Sami Zayn stuff because I was getting death threats from people. Then, I had a few people that were actually pretty cool about cursing me out. And I started thinking about it, and I started saying, okay, maybe I was a little bit too harsh on Sami Zayn, and I backpedaled. I admit it. I admitted it back then as well. But at least I say that I do, and some people will always try to cover it up. So I'm happy that WWE is still investing in Velveteen Dream. If anything ever comes out, something with evidence, and yeah, I agree with everybody out there that's going to say people do get away with it. Absolutely. People cover their tracks so well, they get away with it. And unfortunately, that's what happens in the world. Some people will steal. Some people will finagle stuff. Some people will commit terrible behavior, sexual, non-sexual, whatever it is. And yes, some people will unfortunately get away with it. But I live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty. And it's not the opposite simply because 500 people on social media tell you that. So you still, I believe, in innocent until proven guilty. And if I feel someone is guilty and I don't have proof, I will usually just distance myself from the person and let someone else go at it. So, but their match was great tonight. Ciampa doing the same DDT spike like Randy Orton does. And I love that 1-2 finisher that he does because it reminds me of Randy Orton and Triple H. He does the spike DDT with Velveteen Dream's legs hanging on the second rope. Then he does the pedigree for the finish. And Ciampa wins. We go off the air. I thought it was a very good episode of NXT. I don't know if anything was really standing out from it. Ember Moon, Dakota Kai, great match. Kushida and Cameron Grimes was okay, but a really hokey finish. A lot of names visibly absent once again. The Pat McAfee segment with Lorcan, Birch, and Dunn was very good, but to me it went way too long with the promo. The main event, Dream and Ciampa, and I know I'm not bringing up everything. There's one other thing I want to bring up, and I didn't forget. For anybody out there, Shotzi fans or Tony Storm, I didn't forget about you. I wanted to keep that last. But it felt good. But what was odd today was the progression of the storyline with Shotzi Blackheart and Candice LeRae. That obviously is going to be the next feud for the two of them. And you know what? Maybe that is good to get Candice LeRae away from the title picture for a little while, because she's obviously not getting gold at the present time. But they had a match today, Toni Storm versus Shotzi Blackheart. And, you know, Toni Storm is a very interesting character. She was the NXT UK champion. She's definitely worthy of being the NXT champion here in the States. She's got a nice cult following. I know everybody is obsessed with her ass. You know, she's very, very good in the ring. It was a weird match because they were having a very competitive match. And towards the latter part of the match, we get on the screen, Candice LeRae has possession of Shotzi Blackheart's tank. Now, some people, before I post what you asked me, Ken, and don't super chat this, but who you? Oh, okay. No, you don't have to say it. I know who you're talking about now. I'll answer in a minute. But you know, it was weird because some people thought originally that Toni Storm took Shotzi Blackheart's tank, and then towards the latter part in the match, we have Candice LeRae on the screen, and she's got the tank. Now, I know a lot of you know the story behind her tank, and you know her intros and everything like that. But WWE wanted to get away from that a little bit. Like, they're fine with her with the helmet and everything else. And you remember recently a car got stolen and her gear and her helmet was in the trunk. And then Triple H sent someone to like some Army Navy store and they improvised. But then she got her car recovered and lo and behold, nobody went in the trunk, which is phenomenal. But the tank, especially under the circumstances, you know, the tank, it was time to go. So what they did was Candice LeRae, you know, distracting Shotzi Blackheart, and Toni Storm getting a little bit of a cheap win. No way else to say it. So Toni Storm gets the win. Shotzi Blackheart is a little upset at it. And then Candice LeRae is back on the screen. And, you know, she's talking about the tank, and it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of the night, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it was a pre-recorded segment, obviously. And next thing you know, like a vehicle pulls up. And when you see her standing in front of the vehicle and you realize it's one of these giant, like, not a monster truck, but very, very high in the air, you know that was going to, it was going to have some type of physical confrontation with the tank. So what ends up happening, Candice LeRae gets into the driver's seat and she pulls up, and thank God that was a pre-recorded segment, because if that would have been a live segment, that could have been a recipe for disaster, because she starts driving and she runs over the tank. But I can't use this as an analogy. It's terrible. It's not. No, I won't use what I was just thinking as an analogy. But let's just say there was video recently of something being dragged for a long period of time and just being dragged and not going under a vehicle. So she's dragging the tank, and the tank is like stuck under the front of the wheel well of the truck, and it's dragging. And I'm saying to myself, oh, I hope to God this was a pre-recorded segment, because that could have just went on forever. It could have just went on because it was the the truck was a little bit lower than it should have, and she kind of missed the angle a little bit. But then finally, after about 15 seconds, the last 5 or 6 being a little awkward, the tank goes under the truck, and she stops the truck. She gets out, and the tank is all in pieces. And then you see the Scream character in the passenger seat of the truck, and the truck pulls away. And Shotzi Blackheart is screaming, just totally losing it, just totally devastated. Tony Storm, like a little bit, like trying to console her a little bit, but it was just a little of a weird, interaction with Tony Storm and Shotzi. I mean, I'm not saying that Tony Storm is going to be turning heel. For all we know, she could. I don't know. But it was just a little bit of a awkward segment. But Shotzi Blackheart, obviously she's got that big attachment with the tank. That is her intro. But, the tank could always be redone again. And, the segment ended up being very good. So that's a feud I'll be interested in checking out. Now, just going completely different. Ken asks me, do I like Cinderella? He thinks they're the worst hair band of all time, but their song fits the Kenny Omega Hangman Page segment. I tell you, for anybody that has never heard Cinderella, go on YouTube and just type in Cinderella band or Cinderella rock music, or I don't know what perfect phrase, but just go look some of those music videos. I know exactly where you're going with this. I think that it would be interesting with that storyline, but I don't know if AEW is really, you see what AEW likes to do with their packages. Usually you'll have 9, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, you'll have 9 people being interviewed. It doesn't matter if it's the Young Bucks versus FTR. It doesn't matter if it's Cody versus Darby Allin. It doesn't matter if it's, Mox versus Kingston. It doesn't matter if it's Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega. We got to see Taz commenting about it. We got to see JR commenting about it. You got to see this person commenting. It's like, just do a fucking video segment about them two. And we don't need narration every time. But I tell you, that's not bad. I don't know if we're going to get a cheesy song, like a Cinderella type song, but I could see it. That's not bad. So somebody asked me if I was ever a fan of Grandmaster Flash. Of course I was. Come on, man. You go up as a kid, as a hip hop, the hibby to the hip hop. You don't stop, rock it to the bang, to the boogie, to the bang, to the boogie, to the beat. I don't know. It's late. It's 12:22 over here, so if I start hearing dun 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 dun, then I can start getting. I said the hip hop, the hibby to the hip hop. You don't stop, rock it to the bang, to the boogie, to the beat. And what we got is if I start thinking about, I'll remember all the lyrics. I'm one the mic and I say hello. So anyway, both shows tonight, not bad. Obviously, last week was a little bit different because of Halloween Havoc. I will tell you that the lead-in for Full Gear was okay. But again, that main event was just really, really odd. And I understand we all like Cody promos. And Cody versus Darby Allin is going to be a fun match. I just don't know if that would have been the right one to close out the pay-per-view, close out Dynamite with. So as far as ratings goes, and I undercut both shows last week, but to me, there is no way that NXT is doing upper 8s once again. The matches tonight were not bad, but I tell you, it's just rough wondering. And yeah, we have still election coverage, so I'm sure some people were not in the wrestling frame of mind tonight. I was going to make sure that tonight, only wrestling. Not talking election. So if you ask me, I think AEW regains the victory. When people say like, oh, WWE needs theme events in order to get ratings wins. Yeah, so what does that mean? WCW back then had to have pay-per-view quality matches on free TV to pop a rating. I don't remember us all bitching about, oh, why are we getting Goldberg and Hogan on free TV? No, that should be pay-per-view. You know who should be sending that? The people that work for Turner. I remember people why are we getting Sting versus Hogan on a free TV? Man, some people are just weird. You didn't notice people out there? It's a themed event. So fucking what? You enjoyed it? That's all that matters. God, some people are so stupid. So, not doing yeah. Sam, that's a weekly thing now. Yeah. So let me just remind everyone, guess the rating. We do a contest every week now. I'm not going to repeat it, every single week. Maybe I have to, but basically what you do is in the comment section before 4 p.m. on Thursday, November 6th, post what you think the NXT and the AEW rating is going to be. If you get either one of them on the nose, then you'll get, a prize from me. I think we said like $25 or your choice of any wrestling shirt or a video or something like that. I think that's what I said. So we'll leave it like that because, it's only, look, I hit it on the nose a couple of times already. So it's going to happen. And, we keep the prizes simple because all you're doing is just typing a rating. It's not like, you have to predict like a whole pay-per-view. But yeah, and then what I do is at 4 p.m. when we get the rating, I post the rating on the YouTube page. And then I go through everybody's comments. And one important rule, do not edit your post. If it's edited in any way, then you're not in the comments. Because trust me, I know me with my evil thinking. If I was doing that on another page, I'd post a rating and then I would just very quietly re-edit my rating to get one of them on. Will you look at that? Yeah, but it's edited. No, but I spelled the word rating wrong. No, that was my original rating. I'll take screenshots. So if anybody ever tries to say, no, I posted that after, before the contest, before the rating, I'll do screenshots. If I have to, I'll record the screen like I do with the winners of the regular contest. So all you got to do is put the rating. But, and if anybody nails, and someone's going to say to me, well, what happens if I get both ratings right? Then you get $25 times 2. So what do I think this week? NXT is going to get back down to reality a little bit. I say NXT is going to do 744. I think 744 would be very reasonable under the circumstances with the election and everything else. And it not be in Halloween Havoc anymore. AEW, I think, wins this week. And AEW, I think, gets back in the 8s. Not extremely strong card, but they had the right people on TV for the most part. So if NXT did 744, I'm going to say AEW did 833. 833 to 744. I know that's still high. That's 833 to 740. No, that's too much. That's almost 1.76 million viewers. No fucking way. Maybe some quarters. I got to drop that down a little bit. 722 for NXT and 722 for NXT, and AEW will be 777 to 722. That's right around 1.5 million. That's kind of where I think it's going to go this week. I've probably given still a little bit too high, but yeah, 777 to 722. AEW hits the rating. So anyway, before we go, just quick pay-per-view predictions. Don't have to. I'll do a recap Saturday. Might do it with Mish if he has his whole video set up because he just moved back to Chicago on Monday, so he's still setting up shop. So it's going to take a little while. So we'll see. But Saturday, I'm definitely doing a recap right after the pay-per-view. I'll be here. Then, if it's not too late, for those who like the game, I'll be on Discord hosting Jackbox and Among Us. We did it. When did we do it? We did it yesterday. Holy shit. That's how long the last 24 hours has been. 48 hours for me. We gamed last night a little bit. We did Saturday night. Had a blast. Some of the answers were so funny. You just couldn't stop laughing. You're all welcome to play. Doesn't cost you nothing. You don't have to install any software. Among Us, you have to install software. But Jackbox, all you got to do is have a browser. You can play. So anyway, let's get into this pay-per-view. Serena Deeb versus Allysin Kay for the NWA World Championship. I mean, not even 24 hours early, Allysin Kay says she's no longer part of NWA. Why the fuck would she win the women's title? So you could bet your life Serena Deeb retains. Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. Although John Silver is starting to get, a nice little following online, I think Orange Cassidy, just to keep his name, because he's a special guy and just had the things with Jericho, Orange Cassidy gets the win there. Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose for the women's championship. Hikaru Shida has to retain because with some other women in that company, we need a more experienced champion right now. No reason why Nyla can't challenge to a rematch in the near future, but I go with Hikaru Shida to retain. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara, the Elite Deletion match. Thank God, no dumb stipulations this time about retiring, leaving AEW, can't do this, can't do that. So you feel, like I said, that they got to give something to Guevara. And I think Guevara's got to come up once in this feud. And yes, there's been some mishaps, and a lot of people think this feud is cursed. Pray to God we don't get any crazy shit happen on Saturday and somebody gets hurt. But Sam, I already said, Sam, everyone, we're doing the contest. I said earlier, $100 2 weeks from today. Just post a comment in the comment section. You don't have to use hashtag WND. Just post something in the thing. Yeah, maybe you tuned in a little late tonight, but yeah, everybody post and you're in. We'll pick a winner 2 weeks from tonight. So getting back to Matt Hardy, Guevara's got to win one, especially since you feel that they're starting to tweak Guevara a little bit, as I told you was going to happen. I think Guevara's got to get a win here and get a little bit of respect from Matt Hardy in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to go with Guevara to win the Elite Deletion. Jon Moxley will retain the AEW Heavyweight Championship against Eddie Kingston. This match is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. I don't think it'll be on the level of his match with Kenny Omega. That we remember that got so much controversy online. I mean, when people said I feel very uncomfortable right now, when it's not real, some of the props were not real, that's when you realize some people really need to get laid online. I mean, say that in front of your significant other and see if that person doesn't laugh you out of the room. I feel uncomfortable right now. You fucking idiots. So anyway, Moxley's going to retain, but it is going to be a wild, wild brawl. FTR versus the Young Bucks for the AEW tag titles. As I have pointed out last week and the week before, the stipulation is if the Young Bucks lose, they will never challenge for the AEW tag titles again. Now, if the Young Bucks were still these assholes that they were doing, super kicking all these people and all this other shit, you could see the Young Bucks losing and then saying, we ain't following that stuff. We challenge whoever we want. Problem is, Tony Khan is still a figurehead, and then you create a storyline I don't think anybody wants. But remember what I pointed out a week or two ago. If you notice the stipulation, nowhere does it say if they don't win the tag titles. You see what it says? If the Young Bucks lose. So the Young Bucks could win by DQ and still fight for the tag titles again. It says if the Young Bucks lose. It doesn't say if they don't win the tag titles. There is a difference. If they don't win the tag titles, then they can't. Now, the funny thing about it is, if you do that stipulation, then it sounds a little bit more obvious, like, okay, if they don't win the tag titles, that means that they can win, but they don't have to win the tag titles. So, right, all it says is if they lose, they don't get another shot. So they could cause themselves to be DQ'd. Somebody could hit the ring and hit the Young Bucks and get DQ'd. The only thing is why would you want to get DQ'd? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you want to win a disqualification and lose that opportunity? I hate this stipulation. It was not needed. This card is stacked from top to bottom, and you're putting a stipulation on there that is just asinine. Because why would you strap your top tag team in a division that everybody absolutely loves and put a stipulation that they would never be able to go for a title shot again? That's just moronic, asinine, dumb. It's just really, really stupid. Just absolutely stupid. So I think FTR is going to retain their titles. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a disqualification finish where the Young Bucks win, but FTR are still the champions. Or the Young Bucks win by countout, and the FTR are still tag champions. That's just my honest opinion. I don't want to see. I don't think the FTR should lose the belts right now. So I don't really right now want to see the Young Bucks win the belts. I'd say wait a little while. Then I have no problem with it. But I hate this storyline. I hate that stipulation. Not needed. Asinine. Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page. I already said it earlier. Winner receives a future AEW World Title shot. Kenny Omega's got to win this. They're transforming Kenny Omega's character. Sure, Kenny Omega could lose and then have a handshake with Adam Page and then beat the balls off of Hangman Page and still get a title shot later on. I still got to go with Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega, they got to start having some momentum with. Unless there's some clusterfuck finish, Kenny Omega should win that. If there's a clusterfuck finish, then I could see Hangman Page getting it. But straight up, winner, I got to go with Kenny Omega. Got to go with Kenny Omega. Who else did we forget over here? Chris Jericho versus MJF. And Cody Darby Allin. Let me do Cody Darby Allin first. Cody versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. I think Cody wins, but right after the match, if Team Taz is going to be going after Cody, then we'll probably see them attack Cody, and then I want to see what happens with Darby Dumbass. So I say Cody retains that championship. And then we have Moxley. Chris Jericho versus MJF. This is the most interesting stipulation of the night because if MJF wins, usually when you win and you join a group, usually it's a negative thing. Like if John Cena loses, he joins the Nexus. Usually don't want to join a group. I just don't see MJF being part of the Inner Circle. I could see him winning and the Inner Circle just destroys him anyway, a la like Sting getting destroyed by the Four Horsemen, but I just don't see it. And I think ultimately Jericho is going to branch out of the Inner Circle. I think Jake Hager might end up branching out of the Inner Circle. But then I don't see, where Guevara and MJF and Santana Ortiz and MJF, how they would get along. Sure, you could get Guevara out of the group, but MJF to me just does not fit into this storyline. I personally think Chris Jericho will probably win. I just can't see MJF joining it. And the thing is, tonight you realize that the fans were more behind Sammy Guevara than MJF. And MJF is perfect as an asshole. He's the best heel in AEW. Why would you change that? Yeah, it's a lot of comedy and interaction with him and Jericho and everything like that. There's got to be a major swerve here. But I just don't think MJF joining the Inner Circle is it. MJF, in storyline, doesn't get along with anybody there. Just had a match against Guevara and Ortiz. So I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I don't see it. But it would be great, man, because I have brought up Guevara, turning, and I compared it to Randy Orton in Evolution, just not winning the heavyweight title right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens from here. But I will tell you, I'm really looking forward to this pay-per-view. I think it's going to be excellent. If you're not aware of it already, this Friday at 11 p.m. on TNT, they're doing an AEW special. It's obviously going to be the road to Full Gear. It'll probably just be the packages leading up to the pay-per-view. So if you're around Friday and you're not checking out my show live, by all means, enjoy the special on TNT. So with that, everybody, I am out of here. AJ Blair, when we get a little bit more information on AEW games, I will be sharing it here. Right now, it's just in a preliminary phase, but, you know, AEW is going to be doing their own gaming stuff, and wouldn't surprise me if they do some online gaming. You'll see them playing on Twitch and getting everybody to be. I'm telling you, this is going to be little money making things, and fine with me. Fine with me. Basically, the more AEW does this, the more. And let me say one thing tonight that has to do with politics. But what I say right now, 100% of you out there will have no problem with me saying this. I'm not saying who I voted for or I didn't vote for, but I did vote for some yesterday. Some people I did not vote. Just kept it blank. So I'm not going to tip my hat until Friday. But I'll say this for now. Not one person will have a problem with what I'm going to say. It's all but obvious that Biden is pretty much the winner of this election. All I have to say in a wrestling standpoint about this, very simple. All right, Andrew Yang. Now let's see what you're going to fucking do. Now let's see what is done. That's all I have to say. Let's see Andrew Yang put his money where his mouth is. I told you, I like Andrew Yang. He truly does mean well. But anybody out there that understands the court system and understands that the courts supersede what any of these politicians want to do, I will bet you anything. And it'll be easy to remember when I said it because I'm saying it the day after the election. So a year from now, we could go back to November 4th, 2020. Remember what I say. 1 year from now, you will realize that Andrew Yang did a big fat goose egg about going after Vince in the independent contractor situation. Andrew Yang may inspire other people to try to go after Vince, which, if you heard the debate, I'm fine with. But watch a year from now, and let's see what Andrew Yang actually did about what he said with Vince and the independent contractors. My prediction, a year from now, we will go back to this and realize, and hopefully somebody reminds me next year. Hopefully I'll remember. But 1 year from now, let me see. If AEW stays on Wednesdays, let's see. Let me go to November 2021. Hopefully I'll still be doing the shows. Hopefully I'll still be alive. So next year, November 3rd is on a Wednesday. So a year from now, it'll be the night. It'll be exactly 1 year from the election. So November 3rd, 2021, I will, during our recap, let's see what Andrew Yang did over the last year about this. My honest opinion, nothing. Politician more than anything else. So I hope they do something. And I think the more AEW is doing stuff like games and stuff like that, I think it's going to be more attractive for some wrestlers to go to AEW, take lower pay, but they have opportunities on the outside. Honestly, you have someone making $100,000 in WWE. As much as they love WWE, they're making $100,000 in WWE, and AEW says, "Look, we'll bring you in for 40, but we'll let you game, we'll let you Twitch, YouTube, whatever you want to do, whatever money you make, it's yours, and that's it." You know, when you realize people making, you know, tens of thousands of dollars in some cases every month outside of wrestling, that might be attractive to a lot of people. Hey, I work a lighter schedule. I could game and do things that I enjoy doing, and I'm getting paid as well. I could have a Patreon. I could do this. That would be attractive for some people out there. And look at it like this. Look at it like this. Trying to think who's a really big gamer. All right, let's use AJ Styles. Well, AJ Styles is more company guy. Let's use, trying to think of a good guy in WWE right now. AJ Styles might be a little bit extreme. But let's use, who's a gamer in WWE, like a big gamer that you could see leaving WWE? I want to see some names being thrown out. We'll use somebody. Finn Balor. All right, let's Finn Balor. I don't know about Finn Balor. Xavier Woods would not leave. Adam Cole. Does Adam Cole really make a lot of coin outside of that? I don't think Finn Balor does either. Xavier Woods, I don't think would leave the company. Shelton would not leave the company. Dr. Disrespect is no longer there. Maybe we'll go with Adam Cole. Maybe we'll go. You know what? No, because all right. You know what? Let's use Paige. But let's use Paige based on if she could still wrestle. Okay, let's base it if Paige could still wrestle. Let's say Paige wanted, I don't know, 150 grand to work for WWE, or 200 grand. Yeah, Roman Reigns. Yeah, okay. Let's say 200 grand. Let's say WWE offered her 200 grand to stay in WWE as an employee, or independent contractor, whatever. 200 grand. Now let's say she decides she's not backing down, and WWE lets her go. Now, just based on the idea she could still wrestle. Now, in WWE, she would have demanded 200 grand. Now, what can happen is she could go to AEW, could contact her and say, listen, we can't afford 200 grand. But how's this? We'll give you 80, but you could still game, you could still do all your stuff and keep all that money. So now you got Paige for less than half of what she was making in WWE, and you got her on your product, and you're letting her do outside projects. If you want me to compare it in a really good way, back when I used to work with Frank Goodman with indie shows for USA Pro and UXW, he would work out deals with wrestlers. And I don't want to name anybody in particular, but I'll give you who I feel still to this day is the greatest indie wrestler of all time as far as the money that he made and how he could get away doing next to nothing in a match and still be the most over person of the card, and that is Raven. Yep, Anthony Diaz, he threw it out there before I even said his name, Raven. This is exactly what Frank Goodman would do. Now, the dollar figure is going to be off because I honestly don't remember exactly what he made for USA Pro Wrestling. But what would happen is Frank would call up Raven, and sometimes I actually had to call Raven. But Frank would call Raven and say, listen, would you like to work, our next 3 shows? All right, when are they, Frank? Oh, yeah. All right, I want $2,000 a show. All right, well, how's this? I'll book you for 3 events instead of 1, and you could sell your gimmicks at the event. What that means is they'll give him a table. He could sell his photos, shirts, autographs, take pictures. Like they'll do an intermission or before the show, and he could sell all his stuff. So basically what would happen is if let's say Raven wanted $2,000 a show, Frank would say, okay, how's this? I'll give you $1,000, but I'll book you for 3 shows, and I'll let you sell whatever you want over there. And they would compromise, let's say, to like $1,200, $1,400. But the point is that Frank got him at a lower price, still got him on the show, but also gave Raven opportunity to make money selling stuff as well. And that guy would make a killing. That guy, I just totally, it will always be impressed with how good Raven was, just as selling his stuff and even with his matches. I'll never forget, he had a match with Al Snow, and for 15 minutes in Jersey All Pro Wrestling, they did nothing but gaga. And there was one point in the match where Al Snow did every WWF finisher. Did the rock bottom, the stunner, the mandible claw, the people's elbow. All that match was for 10, 15 minutes was comedy. They did virtually nothing. I don't want to say nothing, but they just had a comedy match. Everybody loved it. And then when you realize, you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck did we just get? We got nothing. But it was the way they did it. It was called Gaga. That's how I always called it, Gaga matches. That guy made a killing on merchandise. Oh my God, you have no idea. But yeah, so AEW, you make it attractive like this, and you'll get people to sign for a little bit less money. But if they could keep, and don't be surprised if that possibly happens, maybe with Paige or someone else. If she is extremely popular on Twitch under her real name, Saraya, she could go to AEW. I'm just using an example. She could go to AEW Saraya, which is the same name on her Twitch channel, and she gets to keep all the Twitch revenue, and she gets to work AEW as well. And AEW gets her for a far less salary. So we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, I'm out of here, everyone. Have a great night. All the best. I'm glad that we were able to keep politics out of this show. I know a lot of you out there are just totally drained. Whether you're happy or you're sad, it's just totally drained. And I'll be honest with you, when if I get into it Friday, like I said, I'm going to feel the room. And if people really don't want the topic brought up, I won't. But if I do bring it up at all, I promise you it'll just be for maybe 2-3 minutes, 5 at the most. And basically what you will learn very, very quickly, whether Trump was reelected or Biden was president, you will learn very, very quickly that for the next 4 years at least, I don't give a shit about politics. I don't give a flying you-know-what about politics. I am just going to be focused about my getting married with my fiance, starting a little future, making sure that I help my parents. Hope to God they're still here 4 years from now. Have fun doing the shows, pay off bills, work as hard as I can. Hopefully my health will be fine. That is it. That is it. And every 2-3 months I go away for 3 days just to clear my mind. And remember, the last week of November this month, which is November 26th. Okay, from November 26th to November 30th, I will be out of New York. I am going away again. It'll be the 1-year anniversary that I got engaged, and I have to take her because we were supposed to have our engagement party this year, and it got canceled because of COVID. So this year has been extremely hard because we were supposed to prepare stuff, and we didn't do nothing. So I was going to recreate that night, and I was going to, bring all the stuff back there, the lights and all that, and I was going to do the whole thing all over again. But then I remembered how hard that was to set up and how crazy and how draining it was. And I'll never be able to recreate that moment. So if we just at least go away for a couple of days and, just enjoy ourselves. So I will be here for Wednesday Night Dynamite that night, but that Friday I will not be here. And that Monday, I'm not sure either. But everyone, all the best. Stay safe. Be careful because there's still a virus here. And hopefully we will have, for some that are going to take it, hopefully we'll have the vaccine, sooner than later. So everyone be well. Thank you for the support as always. Before you go, if you enjoyed the show, I appreciate it if, you give it a thumbs up, give it the like. If you didn't enjoy the show, give it a thumbs down. Don't forget, if you want to take part in the ratings contest, you know what to do. And if you want to be part of the other contest, you know what to do. So, believe me, if you're listening all the way to the end of this show, you know what to do. So, everyone be well. Much love as always. I'll catch you all again Friday for the Don Tony Show, right after SmackDown. So, thanks, everybody. Much love. I'll catch you Friday. Ciao.